On pit road today is Randy Pemberton.
Well, an interesting story here on row 2. This is Bobby Allison's Ford, driven by Chuck Bound. A great qualifying effort. He will start third today, but coming into this race, Chuck, you had no sponsor, but through the demise of another car that didn't make the race, Smokin' Joe's on the side of the car here today, and I know you'd like to bring it to the winner's circle.
Well, that's true. You know, they got in the bind. We're helping them out, and in turn, they're helping us out. So hopefully we can do good with Smokin' Joe's today, but more importantly, hopefully we can get Bobby Allison Motorsports a full-time sponsor for the rest of the '94 season.
How good's the car, Chuck?
I think it's pretty darn good. I'm excited about this. Really looking forward to it.
Okay, working alongside of us today on pit road, the third member of our broadcast team, Johnny Hayes. Johnny, what you got?
First two races in 1994, Dale Jarrett started at the rear of the field, having to elect a provisional. Back here today, we have Terry Labonte. You can see Dale Jarrett moved on up to about the middle of the field. Terry had to elect a provisional. This is a guy that ran really well at Daytona, ran super at Rockingham, won a Busch race. Qualifying is so close, he had to elect a provisional. One thing I would like to point out, he really qualified 35th, but he's a class act. He decided to take his championship provisional, and that enabled one other car to get into the race, and that is Bobby Hill and Junie Donlevy's car. Class act, Terry.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Just a few of the drivers in this 37 car starting lineup. Many great names didn't make the show. We'll tell you more about them as we continue here on TBS from the Richmond International Raceway. When we come back, we'll meet the starting lineup and our hosts. Stay with us.
The Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS is brought to you by Pontiac, by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil, by Napa Auto Parts, by Busch Beer and Busch Light, and by Peerless Faucets.
Without you, they'd never make it down this mountain. Horses don't show much appreciation, but a job well done still has its rewards.
Head for the mountains of Busch.
This is the sports car no one could match. Not Acura, not Mazda, not even Porsche could answer our challenge to match Firebird's standard driver and passenger airbags, standard anti-lock brakes, and 275 horsepower engine for even twice the price of this new Firebird formula. Soon other sports cars will try to close the distance, and that's okay. But that will be then. This new Firebird is now.
Robert, we're ready.
Okay. Got it warmed up?
Yeah.
Before a Robert Yates engine makes it to the track, it's torture tested right here.
Well, let's do it.
And there's only one motor oil Yates relies on for complete protection. Haviland Formula 3. The same Haviland Formula 3 you can buy right off the shelf.
215 degrees, 8,700.
That's race ready.
Haviland Formula 3 motor oil from Texaco.
Running like a winner. That'll get the job done.
Every day, we all find a way. A promise made, a promise kept. Giving it our best.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts. And all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
We keep America running. We keep America running.
Tonight, from the world's greatest movie library. The moment they set eyes on each other, they knew it would never work. Andy McDowell and Gerard Depardieu and the TBS premiere of Green Card. 7 Eastern tonight on TBS.
Welcome back to a beautiful day at Richmond International Raceway. Third round of the 1994 NASCAR Winston Cup Tour. I'm Rick Benjamin in the STP Pit Communications Center. All afternoon here, we'll be keeping track of some key statistics and other interesting stories that unfold during our broadcast today. A couple of things we want to check for you. Our MasterCard Master of the Moment race analysis. Some of the key statistics. Drivers today gunning for nearly $800,000 in posted awards. 37 drivers will take the green flag here in a few moments. We'll go 400 laps, which is 300 miles here at this 3/4 of a mile mile Richmond International Raceway. Race record set in this event 1 year ago by the late Davey Allison, just a shade over 107.7 miles an hour. Today on pit road, the drivers will be limited to 45 miles an hour in terms of how much speed they can have coming down for their pit stops. Something else we're going to be taking a look at today, keeping track of for you. Many of these Winston Cup races, in fact, today's event may well be won on pit road by the drivers and crews who can do the best job getting their cars in and out for service. Advance Auto Parts will be handing out the PDQ Award today. Our TBS broadcast team will select the best pit stop of the day, and Advance Auto Parts will be making a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation on behalf of that team. Let's go topside and meet the man who will call the action for us this afternoon at Richmond. Here's Ken Squire.
Well, thank you, Rick. It's the same wonderful weather, the same sold-out house, the same competition we always get at Richmond, 0.3 of a second separating the qualified field. What is different today is our sidekick, our colleague, the best analyst we ever worked with, Neil Bonnet, is not here. And those are big shoes to fill, but for today, we're honored to have with us a couple of guys representing the veterans and the youngsters in the game to help us along. The two-time winner of this event, Dave Marcus here. Dave, a real pleasure to welcome you to TBS, and you can tell us just how competitive this field really is.
Well, Ken, it's very competitive. I was one of the 9 cars that failed to qualify, and you know, Ted Musgrave on the pole on Goodyear Eagles, his first Winston Cup pole. Rick Mass qualified 4th, having a great season, and lots of cars starting in the rear of the field that are definitely capable of winning this race.
Now, standing alongside is Kenny Wallace. He finished 2nd yesterday in the Grand National Hardee's 250. Big question, how is it out there?
Well, Ken, I'll tell you what, it started out as a one-groove racetrack, and what happened about halfway through the race, we started moving it up. Harry Gant was the one who done that. I look forward to the veterans today, about halfway, 50, 80 laps into this race, to start working that rubber up high and open it up a 2 to 2.5 lane racetrack.
Let's talk for just a moment about this revolution that's going on, guys. Here you've got Grissom coming in, qualifying well up. You've got Jeremy Mayfield doing well today. John Andretti, new rookie, he's qualified well. And as you mentioned, a lot of those veterans, like you've got Terry Labonte, a provisional, starting dead last. What is the story?
Well, Ken, a lot of these fellas are considered rookies in Winston Cup. However, they're not rookies on the short tracks. That's where they begin their career, and they're sharp. They know what they're doing. They've got good race cars. They spent a lot of time this winter getting the center of gravity on these race cars down good and low, and that's the key here at Richmond. Good corner speeds is what wins this race.
Kenny?
Yeah, you know, it takes a really good short track car, but I think what we're looking at right now, we're looking at rookies that aren't raw rookies. These are race car drivers like Todd Bodine, Joe Nemechek. These are guys that are at their shop every week working on their race cars. They know what springs are in the race car. It just makes them better, and especially on the short tracks where people like myself, we feel at home on the short tracks.
And that's what we've got for you today. 3/4 mile oval and some of the most exciting Winston Cup racing you'll see this year in the Pontiac Excitement 400. That's what's coming up. Right now, back to Rick Benjamin.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll be back to take a look at the starting lineup, an intriguing mix of drivers in different places than you might ordinarily expect. We'll check all of that out for you from Richmond when we come back here in just a moment on TBS.
Start your heart twice this summer as the stars of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing invade Pocono Raceway for the June 12th Pocono 500 and the July 17th Miller Genuine Draft 500. Both races sold out in '93, so order now while tickets last. Call toll-free 1-800-RACEWAY. Operators standing by. For vacation information, call 1-800-POCONOS. If this doesn't get your heart started, nothing will.
What, is this your idea of excitement? Let me tell you about exciting, okay? Driving around a racetrack at over 200 miles an hour, that's exciting. These are just flakes.
Well, what do you think?
These are really good. They're crispy, too.
Really?
Yeah, they're mighty good even with nothing on them. What are they?
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes?
How could I be so dumb?
You got 500 miles to think about it.
Kellogg's is proud to sponsor NASCAR champion Terry Labonte.
Leave it to Peerless Faucet to create a shower so smart it can not only sense when a toilet has been flushed, it can also adjust the water temperature accordingly. Scald Guard technology by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
Question: if your cold pill's so good, how come your symptoms keep coming back? because your pill doesn't work 24 hours.
Epidac 24 does.
Most cold pills last 6 hours, the rest 12. One Epidac gives consistent relief 24 hours.
Epidac keeps cold symptoms from coming back.
Haviland Formula 3 motor oil protects some of the most sophisticated engines ever built. World champion drivers Nigel Mansell and Mario Andretti count on it. Haviland Formula 3 protects their cars against starting friction, heat stress, and engine deposits. Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco. The same motor oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Welcome back to Richmond for the Pontiac Excitement 400. 37 drivers are buckled in. The motors have roared to life. 75,000 Winston Cup fans settling into their seats for what ought to be a great afternoon of racing here on this 3/4 of a mile speedway. Let's get a look at the drivers of the cars who will be making up our field today. To run down our starting lineup, here's Ken Squire.
The Haviland starting field for today's race. On the pole, first pole of his career, new track record for Ted Musgrave from Wisconsin. Alongside, it's Mark Martin, the winner back in 1990. Going to row 2, there's Chuck Bound, the Bobby Allison car, and Rick Mast. For row 3, it's Michael Waltrip, who won a Busch race here back in 1990, and the winner of the Daytona 500, Sterling Marlin. In row 4, ranking second in the standings, Ernie Irvin, and alongside the Flash himself, Jeff Gordon. For row 5, it's a 5-time winner at Richmond, Dale Earnhardt, and Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer. In row 6, Joe Nemechek, who won yesterday's Busch Grand National race, and Rusty Wallace, a 4-time winner here. In row 7, it's the Bodine brothers, Brett on the inside and Todd on the outside. Row 8, from Alabama, Steve Grissom and Ken Schrader. In row 9, it's Jeff Bodine, twice runner-up in this race, and youngster from Tennessee, Jeremy Mayfield. In row 10, Kyle Petty, who won here his first race in '86 in Winston Cup, and Dick Trickle. Row 11, that's Greg Sachs, and Dale Jarrett is there. Row 12, Jimmy Hensley, the veteran from Virginia, and John Andretti. In row 13, Jeff Burton, the graduate from the Busch Series, and Bill Elliott, winner back in '92 of this race. Row 14 is Darrell Waltrip, 6 times a winner at Richmond, and Harry Gant, who won on this track in '91. Row 15 is Ward Burton, that's Jeff's brother, and Lake Speed in the Bud Moore Ford. For row 16, it's Bobby Labonte and Morgan Shepherd. In row 17, former Daytona 500 winner Derek Cope, carrying one of our onboard cameras, and Ricky Rudd, who won here in '84. Going to row 18, provisional starters, Bobby Hamilton and Bobby Hillen. Out back, it's Terry Labonte, using a champion's provisional to make the field. And take a look at who did not make this field. Loy Allen, the pole sitter for the Daytona 500. The sensational Rich Bickle, the great West Coast star Rick Corelli, the STP car of Wally Dallenbach, Richard Petty's car, and Dave Marcus found himself looking from the outside. Billy Stanbridge, Hut Strickland, T.W. Taylor, Mike Wallace, all made an effort and came short in getting prepared for this race today. Race number 3 of the 1994 season. So the field is away on their preliminary laps before we go in the Richmond 400 this afternoon. How to be a thriller as they line up. Guys, any speculation as the field comes around? One thing we're noting, see Jeremy Mayfield's car going to the rear. Qualified 18th, but he crashed in turn 2 on his second lap. Brought out another car, so he's going to back up out here. The Earl Sadler team going to a backup car.
Yesterday, Ken, the temperatures were a little bit warmer. It's colder here today. You see on your screen, everybody's really wiggling those cars back and forth, trying to get those radials really warmed up for the start of this race.
That does make a difference. You do need to put some heat into those tires. I think you've seen that in qualifying. The second laps were faster.
All the way, every one of them faster. Little winter driving Mark Martin giving us these pictures from right up front. You're riding in the front row outside that Pontiac pace car. A little further back in the field, there's Derek Cope giving you some shots. Right in front of him is Bobby Hillen working that car in. Getting set here for the Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS. Live coverage today.
See Kyle Petty working down the back straightaway. Every seat has been sold out for some time. The other race here in September at night. Last time we had team cars in the front row. To go way back, 1956. Keith Fafer's team. Buck Baker on the inside and Speedy Thompson on the outside. Dodge and Chrysler, respectively. Now it's the Jack Roush cars, and there's the car everybody's talking about, number 2. That car won 8 races last year. That's the car that won last Sunday at Rockingham, North Carolina. That's Rusty Wallace. Of course, they brought that car here in '92. His first race was that night race in September, and they called it midnight. Buddy Parrott did it for that reason, and it sure cashed in a little before midnight.
But we need to point out it is the same chassis. They've done a lot of improvements on that race car. Again, I bring up the point that they're getting the center of gravity low on these cars for corner speeds. That car, you know, is a current car brought up today.
That new sheet metal, how many different things have they done suspension-wise to that car number 2? Shocks and stuff.
Rusty says the car is exactly the same. He feels like he's got a little more horsepower, a little more downforce.
Field coming down for a start. As they come to line, rolling off into the lead. Torn cartilage on that rib cage or not, Musgrave shoots in the lead.
Good start for Musgrave.
Nice clean getaway. Whoa. Musgrave by 3 car lengths as they come around. Martin falling to second. Holding third. It's Chuck Bound. Rick Mast in fourth, going to third. And Bound falls off the pace for a moment. Bound going to turn number 1. Step back. Mast slid under it.
Spin and turn 1.
Got 1, got 2, got 3 in trouble. Bound may have had a tire go down. And there's the havoc. Harry Gant all torn up. The Jackson car badly battered, all down the right side of that car as they collected 3 in that collision on the very first lap. And there you see the 32 also showing the marks of this incident. Dick Trickle out of Wisconsin Rapids, his car on the bottom of the racetrack. This all in lap number 1 as they were getting them unhinged for the first time around. Harry Gant going to come in and pit from the backside. Here is Jeff Bodine, and look at Harry Gant's car, badly thrashed. Hard year for Harry Gant. In fact, with Jeff Bodine's number 7 as he brings it about, it looked like Bound's car cut a tire or something and backed way up going into the corner, and then behind it, this incident began to take place. See Bound's number 7 spinning. There you see Trickle's number 32 in the middle of the track. Let's take another look at it, guys.
It looks to me like what happened is either the 32 and the 7 got pretty close, but it definitely looks like Jeff Bodine got sideways, and then from there on, it's everybody for themselves, everybody looking, and of course, Harry Gant, you know,
I got Harry right here.
He tried hard.
I understand we have Harry Gant standing by.
We got Harry Gant. Harry, what happened over there?
Well, it looked like the 7 car and the 32 there. Something happened. They got to spin and they hit the wall there, and this kind of sitting there. Then the red car, he come out real fast off the wall there and tore the side off here.
Okay, it's been a tough year for Harry. Maybe we can get it behind us. Back to y'all.
Harry Gant's number 33. Badly thrashed. Let's go to Dick Berger.
Bodine is in the pit area right now with his number 7 car. He's got extensive damage to the front end of the car, to the back end of the car as well. Chuck Bound slowed on the start. He told his crew he thought he saw a caution light on the speedway, and that's what really got the thing going.
He was up in third. He backed up a spot quickly into 4th, and I think it triggered a lot of braking behind him, which sent 3 cars into big trouble.
Yeah, I'll tell you, you know, it's the start of this race. Everybody's trying to get in line. That's really a nerve-wracking time, Dave, don't you think, the start of a race?
It's really tough. I mean, and when one car starts to slide, it's very difficult to miss them. I mean, and if one car hits another and get the tire smoke involved, it's tough getting through those incidents.
Guys on those spotter units are key there, but on that first lap, everybody's on top, hence the result. So Harry Gant, who's finished 34th and 37th this year, and this is last season, things still not working well for him. A victim of circumstance. I think we may have another look at what happened there. Now, yeah, watch the third and fourth car back. Well back in the shot, you can see them coming off the 14-degree banking here.
Yeah, that was a really good pointer, Ken. You can see it really started up front with Joe Nemechek. Joe Nemechek was trying to get on the brakes, and it just stacked up. Really nobody's fault, just like dominoes.
So, for Dick Trickle, a very short afternoon in the Mets Tours car number 32. Last year, Bodine spun on the opening lap twice at North Wilkesboro and Martinsville. See if he can put it back together this afternoon here at Richmond.
From the creators of The Trials of Life, TBS takes you to the coldest, wildest, most hostile place on Earth, Antarctica. Join host David Attenborough for a special National Geographic Explorer, Antarctica, Life in the Freezer. Coming Monday, March 14, exclusively on TBS.
If you want to know why most NASCAR teams use a Sears Die-Hard battery, just ask a guy who didn't use a Die-Hard. Die-Hard, the official battery of NASCAR. For more power when you need it most.
Robert, all we need here is some oil and we'll be ready to crank. Okay. Yes, get us suitcases. I have one. Yes, sir, right away. Robert, we're out. Get us suitcases and fly.
There's only one motor oil that Robert Yates Racing relies on for complete protection. Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
That was quick.
Yeah, they had it right down the street.
The same Haviland Formula 3 you can use in your car.
Buy a case of Haviland, get a free camera, and a chance for a free trip on Continental Airlines.
This year, bring your income taxes to H&R Block, and don't worry. We have more experienced tax preparers than anyone in the business. We'll prepare your taxes for a reasonable fee, thoroughly and accurately. We stand behind our work. And if there's an audit, we'll go with you. No charge. So it all boils down to one thing. You know you can trust H&R Block.
Back in Richmond on TBS for the Pontiac Excitement 400. A start and then a quick caution this afternoon. Trouble up between turns 1 and 2. Looking at beautiful pictures today from our Advance Auto Parts aerial platform. We appreciate the folks at Advance Auto Parts for joining us on board here today on TBS as we get a look down at this 3/4 of a mile oval at Richmond International Raceway. We're looking forward to some great moves on the racetrack throughout the afternoon. At the conclusion of our broadcast, we'll tell you who, in our opinion, made the liquid wrench slickest move of the race. The driver who perhaps showed the most courage out there at a crucial time. That driver will win a special award today from our friends at Liquid Wrench. About set to go green, I believe, gentlemen.
I think you're right, Rick. We are down to 7 laps. That would be about 6 under caution as they're still working to pick up Dick Trickle's car. So we're going to be another moment out here. Dave Marcus, you were saying that you thought maybe down here in turn number 1, we might have had somebody drop some fluid down there that got us in trouble.
Well, Ken, NASCAR has put oil dry down on part of the straightaway yet, which maybe would make you think that someone lost an oil line or a water line or something like that.
They continue work on pit road, and Dick Berggren can give us more on that story.
Jeff Bodine has just made his 3rd trip into the pit area since this race started. They are trying to string the front end of the car to set the toe in. Tough way to start a race, 3 trips into the pits. NASCAR is holding him up to let the official Trek get by. Not a penalty. They're going to let him go by right now.
Getting out quickly is Jeff Bodine, trying to stay in this lead lap as the pace car comes by, and it's a lengthy stay under caution as Musgrave led that first lap. That must have meant a lot to him to be able to hang it out there and stay in front.
I tell you, I really think Teddy done a good job. You know, it's his first pole, and sometimes you want to get jitterbugs, but Teddy was quick on the gears, and he got a good start on Mark Martin and made sure he pulled out to a comfortable lead. So, I mean, my hat off to Teddy. He done a really good job there.
You know, a good point, Kenny, but one way to get rid of those jitterbugs is to get a good start like Ted did. And, you know, you look in the mirror and those guys are back there and them jitterbugs are gone. You're back to concentrating on driving.
That's for sure. One thing I was taught early in my career is to tend like there's nobody watching you, nobody in the grandstands. It's you in the race car. That's when you're your best. Once you realize the whole world's watching you on TV and 90,000 people are in the grandstands, that's when you start worrying.
That's right.
It never bothered you, did it, Marcus?
No way. You're supposed to look where you're going, not where you've been.
And you've set up in those grandstands a few times up there in Wisconsin. How did you get started in racing?
My father had a garage and a wrecking yard. I was just around automobiles and started monking with him and started racing on some short tracks when I was 16 years old.
See Dave Marcus's car being brought in on the hook. Bad day for him. Governor George Allen of the state of Virginia here today, the son of George Allen from NFL fame. He, I'm sure, is getting an eyeful. I believe it's his first race here, and with this sold-out crowd for several months, seeing him walk down pit road, I think he was just a bit amazed at all there is here at Richmond International Raceway. Bill Elliott off to a pretty good start in car number 11 for Junior Johnson today, trying to make his way up through the field, back in 20th position at the present time. A lot of people didn't make this race today, Bill. How about that? What's the story, Bill Elliott?
I really feel sorry for the people trying to get into this sport today because when I started racing, you know, you could come, there wasn't that many cars over, and there was such a spread in times. You know, you could make the race and gain some experience. Now, if you ain't right on the money and running right off the truck, you know, you got a chance of not making the race. And that's a sad deal, especially as much money is being spent in this deal. But, you know, as more and more the sport grows, the more we're going to see this.
Bill Elliott, who qualified 26, talking about just how difficult it is and how difficult it's going to continue to be to even make it into the field for Winston Cup racing. And if you want to know how really difficult things are getting, consider Grand National racing yesterday, the event in which you took second, Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, you know, and I'm going to tell you what, that was the pure toughest example. Dale Earnhardt loaded up and went home. Dale Jarrett loaded up and went home. These are guys that no way are ever going to go home. It's done the whole garage area. And here again, you know, you're looking and seeing towards the back of a pack early, there's Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett, you know, taking 2 provisionals. It is really a tough year.
Well, there you see the guy that won Daytona a year ago, who's really off to a horrendous start this season. How about it? Any superstitions, Dale Jarrett?
Not much. I got a chain letter before I went to Daytona, and I didn't send it off, but you can bet your ass it went out this weekend.
So the Interstate Batteries car is trying to change their luck. They're going to get that letter up. Johnny Hayes is standing by with Dick Trickle.
Dick, big wreck right off. What happened?
Well, going into one there, you know, everybody about 4 or 5 cars ahead of me, they all slowed. And, you know, a chain reaction deal where I got slowed down, but I got into Jeff, and he got sideways. He took me up to the wall. And I got into the wall a little bit. After hitting the wall, come on down the track and got run over by a car coming through. Pretty damaged, but the Active Motorsports car, I really believe we had a top 5 car here today, and we're not going to get to prove it.
Thank you. That's a heartbreaker right this early. Know you had a good car.
Was 14th in the point standings. Dick Trickle now out of it. They're ready to go racing again. Already a little history made. Ted Musgrave leads the opening lap of a Winston Cup race and slowest average speed in history. This breaks the record set in 1953 when Lee Petty won the race for a 45-mile-an-hour average. They're now going about 43. How about that? Okay, they're ready to turn it loose another time here at Richmond after a major altercation in turns 1 and 2 changed the complexion of several cars in the race itself. Getting set on the start. Riding with Mark Martin in second place as they come off the line. Come down to complete 13 laps. Musgrave in front. Martin in second. Rick Mast in third. And now it's Michael Waltrip in fourth. Jimmy Hensley lies fifth, Sterling Marlin sixth, but only for a moment. As slipping through on the inside comes Davey Allison, or rather the car that Davey Allison drove. Now, of course, that's Ernie Irvin. He would get to that one sooner or later.
Yeah,
Love that 28. Hard to
Sterling
get
Marlin
out
seems
there.
to be having a little bit of trouble getting into turn one. It looks like his car's a little loose on the entrance.
I talked to Sterling earlier. What they were considered their biggest problem is going to be a push all day long. It looks to me right there as you've seen him wiggle. He's got the car too loose. He's anticipating a push. Now you see him waving his flag. His arm looks like he's getting ready to come in. He's got problems.
Here's the 28 coming up. Ernie Irvin in that Haviland Texaco Robert Yates Ford, closing in on Michael Waltrip. Here they come, completing lap number 15 into 16. Jeff Gordon coming to the inside, making a move on bound and not getting through. The 24 car, Gordon, caught off at the pass. And Chuck Bound stays in 6th spot.
Sterling Marlin on pit road.
It seems to me, if you look closer, I think Sterling's got a right rear flat. You can see on the screen there.
All right, let's go to the pits and get the story. Randy?
Kenny Walsh, you're absolutely right. He called for right side tires. This is certainly a heartbreak for him. He's finished so well in the first 2 races. He comes down pit road, Sterling does. 45 miles an hour, brings the car to a stop. It looks to me like it's just going to be right side tires. He has already gone 1 lap down. It's very difficult to pit on this racetrack without losing at least a lap. No problem. The right front is off. The Tony Glover-led crew, right rear is already on little trouble with the right front. It's a slow pit stop for 2 tires.
Looks like 17 and a half is the stop on Sterling Marlin. Back underway. That taking place at lap 17 for Sterling Marlin, who had qualified in the 6th position.
And he does go 2 laps down.
2 back. Take a look at Rick Mast in car 1 going to the inside, battle for 2nd place. It's Mast down low, Mark Martin up high, and Rick Mast, who has a good record here at Richmond on the bottom of the racetrack, finds another spot.
Rick's been strong all year long. They're trying to get the breakage to quit in the car. They broke a lot last year. He's running up front, and I'll tell you, he just passed one of the toughest men in the business.
He sure did. In fact, I pointed out earlier, Rick is having a very good season, and I think he mentioned it in an article this morning in the paper that, you know, they ran well last year, but they had a lot of breakage problems. If they can get those behind them, they're going to have a good season.
Yeah, they came here last year. They qualified 2nd and blew an engine early then, but here they are now, right back up into 2nd place overall in the race. Rick Masters never won a Winston Cup event, and here comes Gordon down to the inside, challenging. And going under Chuck Bound for 6th position. You see Jimmy Spencer in the McDonald's car, the red and yellow just behind them. Look at Jeff Gordon from top side, in front of Chuck Bound in the 12. Then it's Jimmy Spencer, deployed right behind him in 8th, and in 9th it's Dale Earnhardt with 10th Todd Bodine, 11th is Rusty Wallace, and 12th is Brett Bodine, 13th is Nemechek, up to 14th. Ken Schrader's looking very strong at this time.
Ken, you seen there, Jeff Gordon's a little bit stronger up off the corners. He's really strong up off the corners. He looks like he's getting in through the middle of the corner, the same as Chuck Bound, but boy, he really had some motor getting up off the corner.
Meanwhile, we're riding with Derek Cope back in the 25th position, the Fingerhut car. You see Morgan Shepherd just in front of him. The Wood brothers at number 21. They haven't won a short track event since back in the late 80s, 1986, I believe, is when they pulled one off. And here you see Morgan just in front. And now take a look at this battle as Ernie Irvin comes down, swaps a little paint with Michael Waltrip. That's the battle for 4th, and you can give it to Ernie Irvin on a roll as the Robert Yates Ford picks up another spot. Michael Waltrip in number 30, the Pennzoil car, back to 5th position. 25 laps, this time by. Big altercation at the outset. And now we're rolling, and Ernie Irvin is charging up through the field. Still, it's Musgrave in front, Rick Mast in 2nd, Mark Martin is 3rd. Take a look at interval up in front. There you see Musgrave pulling away, drawing away from the field, and there's the interval. As you look back to 2nd spot and Rick Mast. Out of turn 2. Mr. Earnhardt slides to the inside and begins to work on number 27, Jimmy Spencer. This for 8th position.
Earnhardt's a tough competitor. It's 25, 28 laps into this race. Everybody pretty soon is going to start hunting himself the groove out. 27 cars starting to find something up high. Earnhardt's taking advantage of him. There you see he's sticking his nose underneath him. Here's the deal at Richmond. You get that momentum coming up off the corner. It's really aggravating. You can race side by side here. If you're not careful, you slow both of these up.
Take a look at Bill Elliott. back here. He's got a real scramble going. The 77 of Sachs just in front. And then you see Dale Jarrett on the outside. One of the Burton boys, that's Jeff in number 8, and John Andretti in the 14, all in a tangle. They're working their way around this track. Tight racing, just back for 17th position. Hey, who said there was only one groove here today? Take a look at that.
I tell you, that was me.
Oh, 3 wide.
Ooh. But Kenny also pointed out that Winston Cup cars would make it 2 grooves, or I guess you did, Ken Squire.
Well, get lucky once in a while. Of course, with these guys, you can't hold them back. Look at Jarrett take the outside and fight his way. Oh, a little nudge there from the 77 of Sachs. And here comes Elliott in that number 11, still working bottom of the racetrack, trying to pull himself up through. What a struggle. 17th spot, well back in the field here. There are 30 laps complete this time by. And Dale Jarrett gets away.
Jeff Burton looks strong. He looks like these guys are holding him up right now. He has gone to the outside, and he is really tough right now. So that 8 car is looking good right now.
Good tight racing, very close field there, running side by side.
U.S. Air car down on the bottom. And here comes that kid that cut his teeth right near Richmond, South Boston Speedway. Waltrip finds the outside, and he begins to roll a little. Not a good year for Waltrip at all. Trying to make up a little here.
Ward Booton is, looks like he's got a good line there through 1 and 2.
Darrell is one of the people that I picked at the outset to go to the top groove early, Dave. And looks like he's doing that. And Ward Burton right down on the bottom.
It's going to take a few cars, Kenny, running up in that top groove. And once they get that groove moved up, you'll definitely see a lot of cars start to use that groove.
Darrell Waltrip runs in 17th position right now. Hey, really, how's the team doing, Darrell?
I know that probably Joe fan sitting at home says, God don't know what he's talking about. I have the best team I've ever had, and I've got the best cars I've ever had. Daytona was a disaster. Tire situation down there kind of got us messed up. Last week at Rockingham, we had a great race car. We would have been in the top 5, even though we'd have been a lap or 2 down. It wasn't the tire's fault so much last week as that we had a flat. Right when we were up in the front on a restart to try to get a lap back, we had a flat, and then we had to come in under green. That hurt us, and we had ignition failure. So we're just not off to a very good start. But I tell you, we are poised. This team is poised to start to dominate this deal here one of these days. And if it ever does, look out.
Let me correct one thing. He is now in 20th position, having come from 27th and making a good run. Take a look at the Bodine kids having a good time out here. That is Brett on the inside and the baby in the family, Todd on the outside, as they work on each other. Back straightaway, the Bodine still at it. They began this race side by side, and they're still wheel to wheel.
Right now, what they're saying to themselves, they're saying one of them's getting in front of each other, but they don't want to let off because the situation is you see Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty bearing down on them right now. They're trying to get position to go on.
Battle for 9th position you're watching right there.
Now, racing that hard side by side, they're definitely using their tires a little bit more than they need to at this stage of the race. We might.
Rick Mast is closing down on the leader as you watch from Mark Martin's viewpoint. Look at that. Rick Mast is right up there, pulling up with Ted Musgrave in the 16 for the lead. This lap 37, they're working right now. Musgrave having the best run he's ever had in that family channel, number 16.
And Ken, we want to point out Sterling Marlin did get by Musgrave. He's got 1 lap back, however, he's still 1 down.
There you see the yellow car just in front, so he is a lap and almost 80% of another lap behind, but he has pulled around the number 16 with that change of rubber. And that number 4 car, a lot of guys saying that it won't be a stop for fuel. It's going to be a stop for tires today. You're going to make a lot more stop for rubber in this race unless we have more cautions like we did early on than fuel. Fuel not nearly the issue here we've seen previously this year.
That is correct. I think and what you see is when you have 2 tire companies involved like you do, compounds get a little bit softer, and of course they go away before a normal gas stop.
So here you see the top 3. The 16, Musgrave stays in front. Rick Mast is in 2nd. And right there, Ernie Irvin lies 3rd. Just behind them in 4th is Mark Martin, with Michael Waltrip holding 5th. Jeff Gordon is 6th. Earnhardt has come to 7th. Brett Bodine now in 8th. Jimmy Spencer to 9th. And Todd Bodine falls into 10th position. battle for the lead. Top 3 cars here as we come to 40 laps complete. This time by. You know, at the outset, Dave Marcus, we made a point about the fact that it was a Goodyear tire that had taken the pole, and the reason was that Hoosier, in those first 2 races, had turned things around in pole qualifying.
Yes, that is correct. Of course, right now, you know, Rick Mast has moved up to Ted Musgrave, and I'd have to say Rick's car is very strong, because at one time Ted had at least a quarter of a straightaway, and Rick has closed that up.
But look at the 28 coming to the bottom of the racetrack. Ernie Irvin finds just a little bit of daylight there, tries to move under Mast, and this 3-car dice for the lead.
Rick knows it's early in the race. He's seen he gave Ernie a little bit of room here, but here we go. Hanley's starting to take over. The tires are wearing out. Rick's strong in the middle of the corners.
Well, the guys are radioing in from their cars, just trying to explain to their crews what their cars are doing. Mark Martin, he's tight right in the middle of the corner. Other than that, his car's okay. As far as Ernie Irvin goes, he's not too bad. Dale Earnhardt is complaining about being loose off of the corner. Likewise for Jeff Gordon. He just says the car's a little bit tight in the middle and it's loose coming off. Dave Marcus?
Ted Musgrave has moved up. He's finding that second groove, which has enabled him to pull away from Rick Mast. It looks like Rick got under him and forced Ted up. Ted found a new groove up there, and he's gained momentum, especially on the exit off the corner.
Jimmy Hensley's number 55 hits the pits. Jimmy Hensley pulls on to pit road as we watch this battle going to the inside. It's Ernie Irvin again trying to slide under Rick Mast and finding no room. Mark Martin is back there. 4-car jam session for the lead.
This is really great racing, Ken. All 4 of these guys are trying to figure out where their cars are running the best. Teddy was trying to find something. He went to the top, he started to pull away, now he's back to the bottom. The 1 car, everybody's searching for a place to run. Now the 1 car is going high. He might be a little bit better up there.
And so is the 6 car all the way to the outside. As you see those 2 battling for the lead, Mark Martin made a move on Ernie Irvin, who threw a block to keep him back and forth. Now you see the 1 car, Rick Mast, going for the lead. He's got it for the moment.
I think Rick got under Ted. Ted got going good up there, and Rick realized that and said, hey, that top groove is better than this bottom groove. I'm going to try it myself. And there he goes around Ted Musgrave.
Ernie's seeing what Rick does. He's starting to poke his nose up there. Let's see what happens this go around.
Now Ernie Irvin trying to run on the bottom. You know, you were saying earlier, before we got on the air, that you thought some of these guys would really try to hang it on the bottom. Earnhardt and Kyle would try to stay down Kenny Wallace. You see Hensley running very slowly here. Here's Irvin trying to make that same effort, but the track isn't working for them.
No, the bottom's tough for these guys. They got a lot of torque. 3/4 a lap before that, you seen Ernie try to get up underneath Teddy Musgrave. He got loose going off. I think the groove's starting to move up. There's some drivers like Rusty, Kyle. They're going to try to keep it down to the bottom. You see Mark is loose coming up off the bottom of it.
Well, you definitely heat the tire up more on the bottom. I think is what you can do. If you can go into the corner with someone equal side by side, you definitely will carry momentum on the exit of that corner and generally pull ahead of them.
49 laps complete this time by as you watch this 4-way battle. This is going to go on for a while, folks, so stay with us. It's live here on TBS, the Pontiac Excitement 400 from Richmond.
Hello.
So, what'd you think of that Bonneville? Did you drive it?
Oh, that SSCI is terrific.
Yeah.
Supercharged, traction control, ABS, dual airbags, leather. What a car.
I told you.
And you were right. It's thousands less than the BMW or the Lexus.
Well?
I'm picking it up tomorrow. I owe you one, pal.
Okay. I'll take a white one.
Oh, hi. What do you have? Myself, I have the goulash, I have the fries, I have the cheesecake, and now I'll have the Tums. Tums has calcium.
Many antacids don't. These have aluminum and magnesium. So do these. Tums helps knock out heartburn and gives you calcium.
Something your body needs anyway. So what do you have? Have the goulash, have the fries, have the cheesecake, and have...
Tums. Where nature stores gas. Where man does. Right idea. Brighter idea.
True value. Help is just around the corner.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Red ball of fire. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. But your love drives a man insane. You broke my will, what a thrill. Isn't this a rage of red ball of fire?
Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by the following. STP, Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner. STP, drive a better car.
Delivered quick.
Excitement 400 at Richmond, Virginia. Rick Mast out in front, and he drew away from field. Then in lap traffic got caught up again. Mark Martin has scratched his way back into second position. Ernie Irvin in the number 28 lies third. Musgrave, the pole sitter, has fallen to fourth, and Jeff Gordon is fifth. But here's the story of the moment. It's car number 8. Jeff Burton, who started back in 25th position, is now in 12th. He's moved around Nemechek and Spencer and Schrader, and the South Boston local driver out of Virginia is looking very strong as he closes in on Todd Bodine in number 75. You see him here using up a lot of that racetrack, taking that high line you were talking about, Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, that's it. Rusty's having problems staying on the bottom. He's going to the top. These two Busch Grand National drivers are strong right now. They're trying to find a way to get around Rusty Wallace.
And Wallace is loose out there is the report. He's having trouble, and there's no problem on this Burton car. He's been running the outside when he wanted to and moving through. Car number 2. Which was built in '92, has now been outfitted in Ford sheet metal, but they say they're running the same suspension, same shocks as they did in the days when they carried the Pontiac colors. Right now, that car is running a little loose on the speedway, riding with the X-Side car. And that would be the number 7. That is Jeff Bodine, and he is in the 26th position. Jeff Bodine worked so hard for that U.S. Olympic effort in the 4-man bobsled. His team got taken out for hot runners, disqualified over there at the Olympics and thrown out. And he's still out about it because he wants to file a protest.
Sounds a little bit like racing. You're trying hard. You're in the gray area of the rule book, but you're going.
You ever get caught for hot runners? Huh, Martin?
Not hot runners.
But everything else. Oh, well. Dave Marcus is alongside. He's a former pole sitter. When you sat on the pole for this race, you were an independent.
Yes, I was. 1971.
Yeah, and that wasn't done in those days either. You didn't have independent set on the pole. That must have been quite a kick.
It really was. It was a great day. I'll tell you, it was hard to believe, you know, come up here and beat all the good teams. We had all the factory Chrysler teams and that here at that time, and I was on the pole. It was great.
Well, taking a little further back in the field, you're watching that number 10. And that thing is flying right now. You know the story on Ricky Rudd. He had to fight his way into the field. He's back in 29th. He's knocked off a few cars as he's pulled up through, continues to make his run. He calls this Richmond track his home track. He's in trouble maybe here as those leaders are down to lapping. And you watch Jeff Gordon fighting with Musgrave. This is a battle going on for 4th position.
Rick Mast making shambles with the field. I mean, he was lapping cars that we thought would definitely be moving forward. Rick has really got that race car hooked up.
Flying.
I tell you, this is a great racetrack today. Everybody's racing everywhere. At the outset, I really thought from yesterday's race there'd be a lot of people on the bottom, but these heavier Winston Cup cars sliding up the racetrack, everybody's everywhere. Everybody's high, everybody's low. This is a great race. Look at this race right here. Jeff Gordon trying to get underneath, trying to clear him.
Ricky Rudd just got himself lapped. Imagine that.
Hard to believe.
And look at this fight. Gordon just so easy on the throttle. Ted Musgrave willing to give it his all on the outside. There you see the one-car Mast. He's in front with Mark Martin in second, followed by Ernie Irvin in third. Tight battle among those front 5.
Jeff Bodine getting ready to go down a lap. What a great guy. They're holding it down for the leaders. He knows they're coming. He can't hold them off.
So you see Gordon moving around and taking 4th spot away from Ted Musgrave in the 16. Musgrave falling to 5th. And guess who's right behind him? The man in black is there, Earnhardt, up to that 6th position. Back with the leaders. There's Mast and Martin. Laps complete, 65.
You can see the two difference. Rick Mast is running in a little bit of high. Mark Martin's running a little bit low. Right now, these front leaders are just trying to make laps, but the cars are handling so good, they're just catching up and starting to lap everybody. And now pretty soon you're going to start seeing a log jam. Everybody's going to start getting bumper to bumper. And these are where the veterans come in. These guys are really trying to maneuver the cars to where we don't get no fender benders and keep on going green in this race.
You see the 11 and the 21 fighting for the 25th position in the field. There's Shepard coming by, lapping Jeremy Mayfield, Bill Elliott right with him. And then you see those leaders about to overtake, overwhelm, and put down by a lap. Bill Elliott, can you believe it? This early, we're showing 68 complete this time by.
Hard to believe. Rick Mast is just, you know, like you say, it's hard to believe he's passing cars really like Bill Elliott and Gordon Shepard.
Yeah.
I think what's most surprising in this race is it's not one car that has taken off and lapping the whole field, Dave. Usually you have one car that sets a blistering pace, and if he doesn't do that, you know, everybody ends up getting lapped down. Right now, you've got Rick Mast, Mark Martin, Ernie Irvin, 3 guys lapping the whole field.
68 laps complete, and it's a big surprise as you see Shepard being put down the lap. You see Elliott going down the lap. Johnny Hayes is standing by with an update in the pits.
Jimmy, you had a little trouble out there. You fell off. What happened?
Yeah, we did, John. It come a short day. Really started up that last on the first caution. I started missing, looked a couple laps after the restart. Metron Ford just had a short day. That's all you'd say. Dropped the valve or something.
Get him in Atlanta, buddy.
Next week.
Indeed, Atlanta is next week for Jimmy Hensley. Out as we get to the 70-lap mark, and Rick Mast continues this tremendous drive in front with Mark Martin deployed second and Ernie Irvin in third. Putting a lap on Grissom in the 29 car, coming around to complete the 71st of 400. If you're just joining us, had a major collision right at the start that took Harry Gant's car apart, banged up the Jeff Bodine car, put Dick Trickle out of business. And here you see Musgrave fighting with Earnhardt. Battle is for fifth. Earnhardt works his way to the inside and then pulls back, hits the bowl another time, and fires that arrow deep into turn 3 right on the bottom.
And they are getting ready to lap the 21st place car, Lake Speed.
And those leaders got away. They really found something out there, and particularly Mast, and everybody's staying with him, and he's using all the racetracks. Rick Mast, who grew up in Rockbridge, Bass, Virginia, from coming to Richmond since the old days on the half mile, and he sure is having a run here.
Well, all the competitors down here are adjusting tire pressure. Now, both tire companies have a recommendation as to what they're supposed to run. For Hoosier, it's 22 pounds on the left, 32 on the right. But the teams have discovered that by running lower tire pressure, they go faster. And they're all running extremely low tire pressure. That puts the tires in jeopardy. Randy?
Well, Dick, it's the same thing on the Goodyear tires. I talked to a bunch of guys on the 3 crew, Dale Earnhardt's crews. You can see they're airing them up down here. The specs, 30 pounds on the right, 20 on the left. Everybody's running about 5 pounds under. I just wanted to update you on Rusty Wallace. He talked about 2 rounds of wedge coming out on the first pit stop. He wants to take tire pressure out of all 4 corners of that race car. All 4 tires. Traditionally, Rusty runs a little lower tire pressure than anybody out there because he has such a great spring and shock combination. Mark Martin just took the lead.
There you see Martin into first. Ward Burton's number 31 has come on the pit road. He was running in 34th. Here's the battle for the lead. Martin is first. Mast has fallen to second. It's Ernie Irvin in third. Jeff Gordon fourth. And Earnhardt is moving up. Richmond International Raceway is where it's happening live on TBS, the Pontiac Excitement 400.
The Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil and by Advanced Auto Parts.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts, and all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
Where nature stores gas. Where man does.
Bright idea. Brighter idea.
True value. Help is just around the corner.
Peerless Faucet didn't come up with the idea for a spout long and high enough to reach over and into large objects. We merely adapted it for the kitchen. High-rise faucet designs by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
You know, sometimes you have to add a little spice to your life. Try something different.
Spicy chicken sandwich, please.
Excellent. Wendy's Spicy Chicken Sandwich is seasoned with Dave's own fiery blend of pepper and spices.
Man, that's got zip.
For a hot and spicy taste.
Dad, what are you wearing?
I'm trying something different.
Keep trying.
I should have stopped with a sandwich.
Try Wendy's Spicy Chicken Sandwich today and go wild.
Robert, we're ready.
Okay. Got it warmed up?
Yeah.
Before a Robert Yates engine makes it to the track, it's torture tested right here.
Well, let's do it.
And there's only one motor oil Yates relies on for complete protection. Haviland Formula 3. The same Haviland Formula 3 you can buy right off the shelf.
215 degrees, 8,700.
That's race ready.
Haviland Formula 3 motor oil from Texaco.
Running like a winner. That'll get the job done.
Beginning Monday night on TNT. Richard Chamberlain, Shogun. The entire epic saga shown in 3 nights. Beginning Monday at 8 Eastern on TNT.
Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. 80 of 400 laps complete. Mark Martin is your leader. Ernie Irvin and Rick Mast right in the thick of things. And Jeff Gordon has really been moving up as well. Dale Earnhardt, also a driver on the move. The early leader, Ted Musgrave, sitting in 6th position at this point. We're in the STP Pit Communications Center. Pleased to have with us Bobby Allison, the owner of the 12 car, being driven by Chuck Bound. Bobby, welcome.
Well, nice to be here with you. Thank you.
Of the cars that are running up front right now, Mark Martin certainly has had a good run going.
Yeah, he really has. You know, Mark goes so good after he gets going for a little ways. Seemed to have the right combination of feel and how to take care of the car to get it going and keep it going.
Sterling Marlin, who started off so well, of course, one Daytona had trouble early on, but he's very quick right now, too.
Yeah, Sterling was in, and I'm sure they put fresh tires on, which helped a little, but they do have the car hooked up pretty well now, too.
Now, your driver, Chuck Bound, qualified very well today, but you've been backing up. What's the problem?
Well, he says the car's loose, and, you know, they're hoping that they can adjust it on the pit stop. Looks like that's one of the things that's pretty important.
And we see troubles for Ted Musgrave, the early leader. Are tires one of the big factors here today? Is that the key?
Well, I think that a lot of guys have been concerned about the tires. Possibly the tires are doing better than they were expected to, from what I see. Some of the guys are going pretty good this late into the race. You know, they thought they would give up sooner than this, but they're not.
And we see Ted Musgrave with a cut-down right front tire. He's on pit road with the Family Channel Ford.
At lap 87, Musgrave in. He was running in 6th position. He had to circulate the entire 3/4 mile distance to get back on pit road. It broke loose up in 3. He was able to control it. He was up on the high side. He could not get on pit road. Had to come all the way back around to get himself on pit road. So the Family Channel car on pit road at this time and dropping back dramatically. Moving up is John Andretti. What a run he's had. He has started in 24th and finds himself now in 13th as we're watching Musgrave come back up to speed after making that tire change. Costly for the pole sitter, Ted Musgrave.
Ken, I seen that when it happened. It looked like he went into turn 3. He had been running just fine, a little bit, you know, slippery, but all of a sudden, right to the top, I don't know if he blew a tire. It would be interesting to see if we can find out what happened to that right front tire. All of a sudden, he just went way up high.
Jeff Burton's number 8, the Rebestos car, taking on rubber here. This is at lap 89, 90 when they come by.
I think we're starting to find right now, Dave, this is when everybody looks like within 10 laps they're going to be pitting for tires. Here comes Darrell Walter pitting for tires also.
And we'll be getting time for pit stops. As Jeff Burton had just pitted, like you say, Darrell Walter is on pit road. It looks like some of the cars are starting to get a little bit pushy getting in and a little loose coming off. So tire wear, track is getting greased up.
And there's another story developing on Ward Burton. We'll go to Dr. Dick Berggren for that.
Well, you're absolutely right about the tires. They are wearing a whole lot. And a lot of the guys are going to be having to come in right away. This is some of the rubber that's coming off them. Look how soft this stuff is. But Ward Burton, you're not in for a tire problem. The hood's up. What's wrong?
I think we burned a pistol, dropped the valve. Tell you, the Hardys team came a long way in 2 days. This is a brand new car Friday, and we made the show. We got a lot to learn, but at least we were out here.
Well, at least he's got a smile on his face.
Man who has a smile on his face right now is Earnhardt, who just blew off Rick Mast and took over third. Mark Martin lies first. In second is Ernie Irvin. Earnhardt to third, Mast falls to fourth. Gordon stays fifth, and Kyle Petty moves into sixth position with Brett Bodine seventh. In eighth is Todd. Michael Waltrip is ninth, and John Andretti is up into 10th spot. And here comes Chuck Bound on the pit road. Let's go back to the STP pit center.
Bobby Allison, your car on pit road for its most recent pit stop. Are they going to change tires this time?
They're going to do a 4-tire stop. The guys have really worked hard to get that down pat. Our jackman got hurt in Daytona, and Scott Hewitt jacked him today. But all the guys worked really hard, and I'm proud of them.
Now, will they take a couple of turns and put a couple of turns of wedge in the car also?
Well, I didn't look at the thing close enough to see, but I know that they adjusted the tire pressure, and maybe that'll do the job.
Is that more what's needed today, just tire pressure, not so much the jacking bolts?
Well, it works different in about every track you go to, and sometimes different from one team to another team. But that's one of the ways that Jimmy Finnig has worked on the chassis for the guys, and you know, cranks and bite when they need to do that, but whatever.
He's been with you for a long time, I know. In Chuck Bound, you've got one of the great young drivers, I think, in this series.
Well, and I've known Chuck for quite a while. He's been in the Busch series for quite a while, and I really like him a lot, and he's putting a good effort out, and we just hope that we can get everything working together.
We look forward to seeing you in victory lane before much longer. Bobby Allison, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bobby Allison. 1974, it was on this track that he stopped King Richard's 7-race winning streak. That was 74. Real honor to have Bobby Allison with us for a moment. Take a look at John Andretti, number 14, up on the outside and around Todd Bodine. That puts him into the top 10 to 9th position. John Andretti, who started this day back in the 24th position, just flying through the field. How did you go Winston Cup?
Winston Cup was something I wanted to try, and from the outset I realized that, you know, if you want to go Winston Cup racing, you better, you know, be very serious about it, because if you come down here and you're not, or you're going to just do a half-hearted deal, you're not only not going to make the races, but you're not going to be taken serious and all that. So, you know, I like to spend a long time down here if they'll have me, so I hope they'll have me for a long time.
John Andretti into the 9th position, David. I like this kid. That's Aldo's son. That's Mario's nephew. And I bet Aldo Andretti is up there watching Indianapolis today, proud as the dickens.
He is doing a fantastic job, Ken, to move up in the field like he has.
Leaders on pit road. Wallace is in, but the more important story at this moment is the pitting of Ernie Irvin, who's been running up in front. Sterling Marlin is pitted. Mayfield comes in. You're watching the action now on pit road. This is happening at lap 100, quarter distance. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, Irvin is in for his pit stop. More and more of these pit stalls are getting busy now as the cars are all in to change tires. These are not for fuel. These are for tires. They're nowhere near running out of fuel. Strategy on almost everybody's team so far. Rusty Wallace has just changed 4 tires. Take 2 cans of gas, change 4 tires, adjust the car however you can, and get it out of here. And there goes Irvin.
Right with him comes Sterling Marlin. Remember, Marlin went down 2 laps. He's made up 1. He's still a lap down in the field. As you watch, Mark Martin coming in. Randy Pemberton standing by on that Mark Martin pits as Dale Earnhardt takes the lead.
Well, Mark Martin has come over the radio a few laps ago and talking to Steve Neal. He wanted to know, what about tire pressure? What should we do? Steve asked him if you want to change around the wedge and also work on the tire pressure in the front tires. Mark said, let's not do anything yet. Right side tires. Jack already down on the right side of the car, left side going. Steve Neal comes around to the front. Jack's the left side of the car up, the second can of gasket to get ready to be dumped in. So far, quick pit stop for the Valvoline 14. Left front is done, right rear waiting for gas to go in. Between the windshield. Oh, they're waiting for the jack to go down. Now it's down. They could have got that car out quicker. 25-1. They could have got that car out a little quicker. They're waiting for all the gas.
Dale Earnhardt and Goodwrench Chevrolet on pit road.
Imagine, David, changing 2 tires faster than they can fuel these things. That's quite a story.
It really is.
And here's Earnhardt coming in. Randy is standing by in his pits.
6-time Winston Cup champion brings his GM Goodwrench Chevy down pit road, 45 miles per hour. David Smith on the jack. Crew chief Andy Peachtree around the right front. Left-hand side lug nuts already done on this automobile. First can of gas is in. Dale had radioed he wanted to take 1 round of bite out of that car, try to loosen it up just a little bit more for him. Already over the left-hand side. Chocolate Myers done with a second can of gas. Dick Bergeron down pit road. Earnhardt's done.
Jeff Gordon is in now. He stayed out a longer time. He wanted to lead 1 lap. But just before he came in, he called crew chief Ray Evernham and said, I've got a vibration. They're hoping that that vibration is in the tires. They are changing 4. 2 new men on this crew. The jack man, Barry Muse, the gas man, Gary Stevens. A relatively new crew. A good stop for Jeff Gordon. 19.6. Nice clean stop.
You got a lot of vibration yesterday, didn't you, Kenny Wallace, your second place run?
I sure did. The tire wear's putting the rubber up on the racetrack. What happens, the tires get so hot they're picking up rubber, or the tires are wearing out. I felt the vibration in my steering wheel and in the brakes.
So Lake Speed has come in and come out. Bobby Hillman's made his pit stop. We're at 105 laps, 78 miles completed in the Pontiac Excitement 400.
Sure, you've got a car. Got a dog. Even got some fun-loving friends. But have you got what it takes to be a mountain man? All it really takes are the 2 cool beers of the mountain man. Smooth bush beer and easy drinking Busch Light. So, be a mountain man. All you gotta do is head for the mountains.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Red Ball Fire! You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my wheel, what a thrill. Driven this race is Red Ball Fire!
Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
It's never fun to eat and run, to rush and eat too fast, 'cause you know it's gonna catch up with you at last.
For acid indigestion or heartburn with headache, nothing's faster than Alka-Seltzer.
Get yourself some Alka-Seltzer and you'll feel better fast.
Leave it to Peerless Faucet to create a shower so smart, it can not only sense when a toilet has been flushed, it can also adjust the water temperature accordingly. Scald Guard technology by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
No matter how much you know about cars, there are times when you could use a little friendly advice. At Advance Auto Parts, we're trained to answer almost any question about cars, including how to reattach a parking brake retaining spring.
With 112 laps, 84 miles, and the 300 to be run completed, the leader is Ernie Irvan in the Robert Yates Ford, the car that won here a year ago over Rusty Wallace. Now commands the race with Mark Martin in second and Dale Earnhardt currently shown in third. But equally important to this story, behind this terrific run by Irvan, is the story of Terry Labonte. Remember, he started in 37th position. Well, he has actually passed 22 cars with all these pit stops. I mean, he went by him out on the racetrack, and that car is currently right up there knocking on the door of the top 10. It's a tremendous run for the Kellogg's Lumina this afternoon, and his 16th start here in this Pontiac 400 for Texas Terry Labonte. He had a third-place finish back in '84. That's about the top of the line for him in this race. And as you see right now, he is currently being shown in the 12th position. But Terry Labonte, he is on a run, and he hasn't given it up from the outset. Last win, Talladega in '89. Can he change it here today? The interval between first and second is the longest of the day. It's now shown at 3 8/10 of a second. Now look at Wallace in number 2. Wallace had fallen way back. They keep building monuments to Wallace, particularly on short tracks. But forget it. Give it to his pit crew. They got him in. They got him out. They got him back in the same straightaway. That's the number 2 of Rusty Wallace, currently being shown in 9th position. And he wheels around on the outside, picks up a spot on the 22 car, and just keeps on motoring.
Yes, they had a fantastic pit stop. Like you say, it put him right back in contention, even though he was falling behind before that stop on the racetrack.
I'll tell you right there, you see the 28 car. He is really fast right now. His front end is really running good through the middle of the corner. He's free. He's really fast, and right now he's setting a pace that looks like it's going to keep on lapping people in this race.
Yeah, and he's going to lap Sterling Marlin, the Daytona champion, guy that was second last week in that 4 car, and what a struggle he's having. Here's Mark Martin, your second place car.
I think you see some of the guys settling down a little bit, Kenny and Ken. You know, they're not pushing the cars quite as hard on the entrance in the corner. They're not pushing up as high in the middle, taking care of those tires.
A lot of patience, which just showed through all those green flag pit stops. That's a critical time. NASCAR's got that pit road speed. To be out there running and come in 100 laps in the race and keep that car at the pit road speed, that's hard to do. Nobody got caught.
Kenny Wallace, as you watch Sterling Marlin out here, he wins Daytona, then he goes into Rockingham, has that great performance, but he ends up in second spot for Rusty. Of the two, which do you feel? Of course, winning the Daytona 500 means so much to a driver in his career. But as far as the car and the working of it's concerned, what meant more to him?
I think, you know, the Daytona 500, don't get me wrong, meant a lot to Sterling Marlin. But to go to one of the toughest racetracks on the circuit, Rockingham's a very slippery racetrack, a really tough racetrack to set up for, and for him to finish second, also pass Rusty Wallace, who dominates there, lead the laps there. He's done a great job. I think Rockingham really showed that the Morgan McClure team, Sterling Marlin, is to be contended with this year.
Yeah, one thing that was real important, I think, for Sterling, that first win, no matter where it came, even though it was Daytona, that first win, very important.
And he sure is showing a lot of power in the first 2 races. Now here's Bobby Labonte down on the inside of Jimmy Spencer, the 22 and the 27. Knocking a little paint off the cars at this point, and that is a battle back in 22nd position. Just in front of them is this scramble as you watch the 26 of Brett Bodine and the 2 car of Rusty Wallace and their struggle, and there goes the 28 around Marlin, and that puts him 2 laps down for a second time.
The 4 car just on the verge of being able to keep his laps, but as his tires go away, 28 car gets better.
Now here are the last 2 cars on the lead lap. You're looking at the 5 and the 75. Terry Labonte and Todd Bodine, respectively, trying to hold off the 28 of Ernie Irvin, stay in that lead lap. And there you see the interval from those cars running on the tail end of the lead lap back. And that 5 car's got his hands full right now. Bodine is running 11th. Todd Bodine, the 75, and the 5 car of Terry Labonte is in 10th. And you can see that car number 28 moving in, getting ever closer to putting them a lap down, Dave Martin.
And I'm sure Ernie's looking at him up ahead and say, there's Terry Labonte, Chevrolet versus Ford. I'm sure would like to put him a lap down because he is definitely a contender.
Right.
Todd Bodine had a good run going at Daytona, but there's some questions about that Randy Pemberton posed to the young man.
Hey, looking back at Daytona, have you gotten over that yet? I mean, I know you're probably a little mad at Jeff, to say the least. You're over it because you had a heck of a run going.
Well, that's the way we look at it. You know, you can't turn it back to hands of time. You can't do anything about it. So there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to be mad at, or you just wish it didn't happen. And we know we had a good car and we looked good and we ran well, and that was mostly what we wanted to do. And we wanted to finish well too, but you know, fate didn't have it that way. But we're real proud of what we did down there.
What a surprise he was, and what a good run he had. And then the big problem there at Daytona.
That was a really good move by Todd. You know, he's running 12th. He's running good. But the deal we got here is Ernie set such a pace. His crew chief did a good job. He told him to move over, you know, let Ernie go and run his race.
But you know, we've been seeing more and more of that. One car gets dominant and just goes and laps the whole field.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just hitting the right combination, but everyone's working harder and harder. Sometimes you hit it, sometimes you don't.
David, you see the 77 car, Sachs, out here? He just made his second pit stop. He wore out a set of tires in just 41 laps. Sachs in the 77.
That car's running on the Hoosier tire.
And having a problem backing up a little.
Seems like they may be getting more wear.
1 7/10 of a second from going down a lap, the pole sitter at the present time. Unbelievable story. Musgrave backing up here. You see Kyle Petty's number 42. Kyle won his first race here. Kyle stays in 6th position. And would not want to go a lap down, but let me tell you, the field is really closing with Ernie Irvin just mowing down the rest of them here with 130 laps complete. This time by out of 4. We'll be back with more of the excitement of the Pontiac Excitement 400 from Richmond, Virginia. Stay with us here on TBS.
Some wedding, huh?
I loved weddings.
Would you consider marrying me?
I'm sorry?
Well, actually, I'm a little bored. You?
Not for long. Want a bond?
Okay, can I get you something to drink?
A martini, shaken, not stirred. And you didn't answer my question. Want a bond?
If you're serious.
I could be. How big is your TV?
Oh, begins Saturday night at 8:05 Eastern on TBS.
How to identify the mountain man. Should be easy. I mean, doesn't a mountain man only live in really cold climates? Always go to bed when the sun sets? Wear a cowboy hat at all times? Actually, the easiest way to identify a mountain man is by his beer. Smooth Bush beer, or easy drinking Bush Light, the 2 cool beers of the mountain man. So, be a mountain man. All you gotta do is head for the mountains.
Haviland Formula 3 motor oil protects some of the most sophisticated engines ever built. World champion drivers Nigel Mansell and Mario Andretti count on it. Haviland Formula 3 protects their cars against starting friction, heat stress, and engine deposits. Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco. The same motor oil you can buy right off the shelf for your car. Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
Jumpstart your heart twice this summer as the stars of NASCAR Winston Cup Racing invade Pocono Raceway for the June 12th Pocono 500 and the July 17th Miller Genuine Draft 500. Both races sold out in '93, so order now while tickets last. Call toll-free 1-800-RACEWAY. Operators standing by. For vacation information, call 1-800-POCONOS. If this doesn't get your heart started, nothing will.
Back at Richmond International Raceway, quite a battle for 4th position. Rick Mast in the 1 car has Jeff Gordon in his rearview mirror, filling that mirror at the moment as Gordon tries to move up and take 4th away from Rick Mast, who had led earlier on. Great to have you with us today on TBS. I'm Rick Benjamin of the STP Pit Communications Center, welcoming the Governor of Virginia, George Allen, here. Good to have you with us today.
It's great to be here. It's a historic day for Virginia.
Big crowd here, of course, one of the biggest pro sports crowds, I guess, ever.
This is actually the largest assemblage of people in Virginia history for any sport.
More than 75,000, we're told here today. We know you spent a lot of time around NFL football when your dad coached the Redskins and the Rams. What do you think of NASCAR racing?
Oh, it's great. It's teamwork. I went by and said howdy to Joe Gibbs and some of the pit crews, and there's teamwork. It's the same approach, and it's real exciting.
Even though the focus is on these race cars, as we watch Jeff Gordon, who's passed Rick Mast now to take over 4th spot, that teamwork element, if it's not there, these guys can't succeed.
Right, these are the players on there, but you need others to work with you, whether it's an amazing quick change of tires, but the skills and the concentration of these drivers to do this, especially at this track here, as it's such a competitive a race, and every split second you got to be on the ball.
Absolutely, as we watch Bobby Hamilton with problems in his number 40 Pontiac, the Kendall Oil car. Governor, how important is tourism to the state of Virginia, as we're seeing here in Richmond?
Well, tourism is our second largest industry in Virginia. We have many historical sites, natural beauty, beaches, mountains, and everything. In fact, it's so important to Virginia. We have a Virginia's for Lovers car that we run in races. Yesterday it came in 5th, and they know that every time it runs, the folks in tourism get a whole lot of calls in. So Virginia's for Lovers is our motto for 25 years, but it's also for racing fans, and it's a family sport, and it does help promote Virginia.
Absolutely, and we're watching some of the family members. NASCAR, of course, one of the sports where families have really dominated. Leader Ernie Irvin in the Robert Yates car there trying to work by some of the lap traffic. He's moving up on Terry Labonte's automobile. Irvin really has set sail here. Now, you're involved in a situation where you're trying to bring Disney to Central Virginia. What's the status of that?
Well, I think it looks reasonably good. We have to get it through the General Assembly this week. It's a good investment for Virginia. It'll bring 19,000 jobs and help promote all of Virginia's tourism industry.
We wish you well, Governor George Allen. Thanks for stopping by today. Caution is out on the speedway, gentlemen.
Yellow is out, and it's only the second time today.
I don't know what's caused this, Ken, Dave, but it looks like the 40 car let a lot of smoke out, maybe dropped a little bit oil. You see the oil dry truck leaving out of turn 1.
Indeed, it's being called oil at lap 144. Yellow is out. We should see all those leaders making their way onto pit road under caution. It is the second. The first caution was at the very outset of the event. And as the field gets ready, we see driving onto pit road the Ernie Irvin car. And right behind him comes Martin, then Earnhardt. So let's go to Dick Berggren as we begin our coverage of the pits under caution.
The top 3 are all coming into the pit area. Ernie Irvin's biggest complaint, he cannot see. The windshield is all oil, apparently from that number 40 car. He asked for that windshield cleaned even more than he wanted to have anything else done to the car. Even now, he's pointing at the windshield saying, do a better job, I can't see. They've got the right side tires on. This is a very good pit crew. And
Martin has asked for 2 rounds of wedge. The right side tire is already on. Ernie Irvin having trouble getting out, but Martin is already done with left-hand side. He's down and away. Earnhardt wins the battle off of pit road.
Top 3 all out. Great coverage on the pit road of those 3 leaders. How about that one, Dave?
Super stops by all of them, but however, Ernie Irvin did have to put the car in reverse and back up for Kyle Petty to get it on. Otherwise, I think he would have been first off the pit road.
Yeah, that's going to put Dale Earnhardt in the lead. And I'll tell you, right then, that was probably the most important part of this race. Lap 143, 144. The leaders now got to pit, take their time, and do the chassis adjustments that they need to do. It's going to be important to watch these guys now.
All right, we're getting set here. Quick question. If you were to coach this guy, Dave Marcus, what have we learned? What would you tell him from what we've seen? Not that Kenny Wallace needs any help.
Well, take care of the tires. These race cars weigh 3,500 pounds. You've got to learn to take care of these tires.
What have you learned watching?
I've learned a lot. You know, Dave is a great race car driver, does a lot of testing for the tire Goodyear. One thing I learned last year, 3,500 pounds car, the tires start wearing out, sometimes slow up, be easier on the tires. You drive too hard, you push the tires right off the car.
145 laps are now down in the 400-lap contest today. It's race number 3 of the 1994 Winston Cup season, live from Richmond, Virginia. Stay with us.
Jesse, you're all set for your nightly frog hunting expedition here in the Everglades. What kind of batteries do you use to run that headlamp there?
We use a Duracell.
Is that because Duracell batteries give you more frogs the battery, or what?
They seem to last long because sometimes you're out all night, and if they don't last all night, by daylight you have a hard time finding your way back.
Yeah, ever look up at the stars and wonder why Duracell batteries last?
No, I've never really figured out. I know they seem to work great.
Well, probably too busy catching frogs to ponder the big issues.
Duracell. No other battery lasts longer.
If I kiss one, maybe it'll tell me.
If you want to know why most NASCAR teams use a Sears Die-Hard battery, just ask a guy who didn't use a Die-Hard. Die-Hard, the official battery of NASCAR. For more power when you need it most.
What, is this your idea of excitement? Let me tell you about exciting, okay? Driving around a racetrack at over 200 miles an hour, that's exciting. These are just flakes.
Well, what do you think?
These are really good. They're crispy, too.
Really?
Yeah, they're mighty good even with nothing on them. What are they?
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes?
How could I be so dumb?
You got 500 miles to think about it.
Kellogg's is proud to sponsor NASCAR champion Terry Labonte.
Let me guess. Spicy chicken sandwich.
Have you noticed that people who like Wendy's spicy chicken like to step out a bit, live on the wild side?
My daughter thinks it's too much.
No way. That's because our whole chicken breast fillet has Dave's fiery blend of pepper and spices for a hot and spicy taste.
So how much are you asking?
The bike for the jacket. So try Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich and go wild.
Dad, is that you?
Something, huh?
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by Pyroil Performance Products. Quality automotive formulas from the makers of Valvoline. For performance products, there's just one name, Pyroil. By Exide Batteries. For great starts every day. Replace your old battery with a powerful Exide battery. Available at all Montgomery Ward stores. And by Bandit Productions. The Bandit's back, and he's hotter than ever. Very hot racing action, too, here at Richmond International Raceway. 75,000 fans just enjoying themselves on a cool but sunny afternoon in Central Virginia. Great to have you with us on TBS. I'm Rick Benjamin in the STP Pit Communication Center with a guy who, as a car owner, gave Harry Gant his first victory more than a dozen years ago, I guess. Hal Needham, great to have you with us.
It's nice to be here. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Harry didn't do so well today, getting in the wall early on. I know that's tough for you to see.
Yeah, it is. You know, actually, I'm going to be glad to see Harry out of it, because every time I watch it, I mean, he's done his thing. He's made his mark. I hope he gets out unhurt and everything and just enjoys his life.
Well, I'm sure he'll do that. I know you're enjoying being back in the movie business. How did you come to put this new Bandit thing together?
Well, the people over Universal said, why don't you come back here and do some more Smokey and the Bandit? So we call it Bandit, and I said, why not? Sounds like fun. We always try to do a little fun and games, a lot of action, kind of a home movie television show, and we hope the people are going to enjoy it.
Evidently people are. We're going to show you a clip of, I guess, the first of a series of Bandit movies that Hal Needham has put together.
If you love action, if you crave adventure, if you feel a need for speed,
You mind if I play through?
then buckle up to Smooth Talking.
You look more beautiful than ever.
Fun-loving, hard-driving Bandit is back.
Did I mention beautiful women?
I want these guys behind bars. It's a world premiere, action-pack exclusive, Bandit.
We see a black car again. It's a shame there's no action in that.
I know. No, I tell you what, though, everybody keeps saying violence, 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 and we thought we'd change it a little bit. We got a lot of action and no violence at all. I mean, we're not blowing brains all over the place, just a little action and having a little fun with it.
Fun indeed.
Yes.
Oh, he hasn't changed. Yeah, Hal Needham, who put together a great team and really helped so many people to understand just how truly great Harry Gant is as a race driver. Burton Hal, great story in racing. We keep hearing that Needham might be back. We might get back that story a little later. Let's get back with the race just under green. 151 laps are complete. Boy, for a three-quarter-mile track, they hustle on this thing, Dave Marcus.
They sure do. Of course, that was a good restart. You see Darrell Walter battling very hard with Dale Earnhardt, trying to get back at one of those laps that he lost.
Yep.
Yeah, Darrell Walter, I believe, is down. They're showing him 2 down. He's running Earnhardt hard, and he got him.
Sure did, and Sterling Marlin picks up there, too. And here comes Musgrave, the pole sitter, trying to get his lap back in 16.
Top 3 cars are all down laps. They just got themselves on the lead lap.
Check out your favorite driver here at the 150-lap mark with Earnhardt, Irvin, Martin, those top 3 guys, and we've got some people making up some laps on this restart. Maybe some of those veterans are willing to let people go at this point, Dave Marcus.
I would say they certainly are, Ken. You know, again, we pointed out, you have got to take care of the tires. This is a short track. The key here is keep the tires on the race car. You will do better in longer run than if you push the car too hard early, you give the tires up, and then down you go.
So it's okay, perhaps, to let these lap cars go away, not be intimidated by the fact they're around and the strong numbers, big names. Let them go. Just do your own thing.
I think is what you have to remember is you don't want to do it, but it is maybe better to do it and just let them burn their tires off, because you know just from the last 150 laps that When they took care of their tires, you pass them back.
Patience is a big thing, something I've taught myself and I'm still learning. Right now, you've got 6, 7 cars on the lead lap. They know they're on the lead lap. The other guys trying to get their laps back. They're running so hard. They're really working themselves hard. Those guys, you know, there's 7 of them on the lead lap. They're just cruising right now, and everybody else is working so hard.
11 cars actually on the lead lap. They are Irvin, Martin, Earnhardt, Wallace 4th, Mast, Kyle Petty 6, Jeff Gordon, Brett Bodine 8, then Todd Burton. In the 10th spot would be Terry Labonte, and 11th is Musgrave, and he is going a lap down. Just getting caught up out here.
Some very hard racing going on. Todd Bodine racing Terry Labonte very hard back there in the pack.
And Jeff Gordon going around Kyle Petty for 6th spot, making his move. That came at lap 155. 400 laps the distance. It's live from the Richmond International Raceway, where the Winston Cup sets up its tents twice a year, now and then in September on a Saturday night. Every seat sold out for this event. They keep adding seats, but they can't stay in front of it. This 3/4 mile track is so perfect. It has the feel of a super speedway, and yet it's really down-home, funky, short track racing, David.
It really is. You know, it's...
Now we got a Burton car in trouble. We just saw, Jeff Burton in number 8 went way high and way off the pace up there in turns 3 and 4. He's down across the line. He picks it back up again, but looked like he was heading for the wall for a moment. That was Jeff Burton in number 8. Let's get back to this racetrack and why it keeps attracting more and more people.
Well, like you say, it does have the characteristics of a super speedway. Got a long front straightaway. You got a real nice, wide, smooth surface going into turn 1. It really invites you in there. However, when you get in turn 1 too deep, it's very sharp to turn to hit up off of turn 2 up the back straightaway. It's a very tight turn.
See Rick Mast, the number 1 car. That is your 5th place car. Rusty Wallace in car number 2. Oh, he's not having as much fun as usual here. He's won so many races at this racetrack, but he's having to look up from 4th at the present time. Remember how he's dominated here? Just gone out and mowed him down, much like Ernie Irvin has today in these early laps. He's having to fight his way back into this in car number 2.
But the key, I think, with Rusty is what Kenny just pointed out. Patience. Rusty does have patience. He knows what it takes to win at Richmond.
Meanwhile, that leader, Irvin, Martin, they continue to drive their own race as you watch the number 2 car in 4th. Let's go to Dick Burgers.
Well, Ken, I just talked to Buddy Parrott, who is Rusty Wallace crew chief, and I asked him that same thing. I said, gee, we expect you to be running better today. He said, wait, you just wait. There's more in that car.
I think so, too. I really do.
What do you think? It's your brother.
Well, you know, I don't want to comment on him too much because he is my brother. But, you know, in the back of my mind, this is Rusty's style right now. You know, for all the viewers out there watching this race, they know this is Rusty's style. It come along with the radial tires. With the biased tires, he's very aggressive. We'll just have to wait and see. You know, the one thing about the 28 car we talked about with the late Davey Allison, this car runs really good here. He's got to be a big concern of Rusty's right now because he's running so good right now.
Well, as you watch these 124, this bat a little further back, that's 5th, Rick Mast, and 24, Jeff Gordon, and 6th. Radial tires, it seems to be what a lot of you have been saying is they're making for more single file stuff on these size tracks than the old side-by-side racing we got on bias ply.
Right, Ken, what's happened is these tires, they got what we call a scrub patch. It's the area of the tire that's hitting the ground. They don't like to be abused. The old bias tires, they could rotate and be very flexible. They wouldn't be bothered. These tires don't like to be abused. And what happens if the leader's coming up on a lap car, got to let him go because they'll use up all your tires. You'll be pitting earlier and you've used them up.
So the tires are making it more into a thinking man's race.
A thinking man's race, just like Dave Marcus said earlier, you got to really use patience. But then again, when your car's handled right, it makes it so much fun because then you got to work at it.
And it's like Kenny pointed out, you don't want to abuse these tires. Some of the guys in the past at Richmond would run a 12-to-1 ratio steering box. They have now gone to 14-to-1 ratio steering boxes, so they don't move those front wheels quite as fast. That takes care of that scrub patch on that tire.
Good point. Let's go to the 27th position and ride with Derek Cope out here in car number 98. There's the 24 car. It's back in 6th. And let's talk about visibility for just a moment. We're in the back straightaway. As you come off 4, you're directly into sunlight, Dave Marcus. You've driven so many of these races. The effect with that windshield. Go home with a headache?
Always go home with a headache. The sun gets very tough on these windshields. It's really hard sometimes for the pit crew to get that thing really good and clean. And of course, the oil drying stuff that gets put out from caution guys gets those windshield sandblasted. It makes it tough.
Well, after that windshield gets pockmarked, does it make you more... What does it do to you? Do you start trying to steer around things in that heavy heat or what?
Well, I think it takes a toll on you. You know, like you say, do you go home with a headache? You do, because you have to concentrate harder on that fine line on a racetrack. It's harder seeing it and pointing and picking it out. However, everyone has that same problem, but it's difficult for everyone also.
Right. You know, I went to qualify in the Busch Grand National race Friday. I went out very late. I went out 48. Turn 3, I couldn't even see it. All I did was take the car, went for the white line. I made it around and went qualifying 5th, picked up. Later on in this racetrack isn't not like Atlanta, but the sun has the same effect. Turn 3, both the same on both racetracks. You cannot see later on in the day. You'll see these teams start adding tape to their windshields if they haven't already.
Steve Beal, Ernie Irvin's got him covered right now, but how hard is Mark running, and can you make the car better?
Our car's set up for long greens. It's going to take a while for us to get it to come in and get running. We're coming back home a little bit now. Our big concern is what the 2 cars doing behind us, and we need to keep Sterling a lap down, because the 4 is real good. They just had some hard luck at the start of the race.
Okay, Dick Bergman up pit road.
Well, I'm with Robert Gates. It looks awful good, but Larry McGrano just went down and talked to NASCAR. What's the problem?
I think I understood your question there, but everything's working pretty good. 4 cars leaking something on the windshield and is having a hard time to see.
So they want NASCAR to do something about the number 4 car in order to stop that windshield problem.
Meanwhile, you see this battle going on as Earnhardt and Wallace square off. It's Rusty Wallace on the outside. Rolls the Ford up past the Chevrolet. It's Rusty Wallace taking over in 3rd as he goes headhunting for Mark Martin and Ernie Irvin. Earnhardt stays on the bottom and with him. But as Kenny Wallace pointed out, Rusty Wallace is driving his race, easing it on up through, folks. About to put a lap on Musgrave. We're at 174.
That's really surprising right there. I'm surprised to see Rusty go to the top. He's a bottom of the track race car driver, which is the fastest way around the racetrack. But the track is different right now. He's smart and went to the high side and took the spot from Dale. And now Dale's going to follow him, and he might look doing the same thing.
Here comes Dale. They both like that bottom lane here. And that bottom lane at this track as the race goes on can get real troublesome with the buildup you get off all that speedy drive they lay down.
What's going to happen is whoever runs the most at that place is going to get wore out. If everybody runs the bottom, that's going to be the hardest place to get around because there's so much hot rubber down there. Everybody's searching for the best pavement on the racetrack. So that'll sort itself out as the race goes on. Sometimes you see Dale Earnhardt go to the top of a lot of racetracks. He'll be the first one to go up there. He's searching for that new, cool pavement to get a better bite.
I think you see Rusty working that high groove, like you pointed out, a little bit more than what we're used to seeing him. He's wanting to get up in that high groove and take care of those tires, keep them cool.
Certainly one of the most popular drivers here is running right in the thick of things. That's car number 11. Bill Elliott back in the 17th position. Trying to sort himself through this jam session.
Hey, race fans, Budweiser asks, who won? We go back to February 26, 1984 at the old Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. Just a week after a 1-2 finish in the Daytona 500, the 28 with Cale Yarborough and the 3-car of Dale Earnhardt were battling in the first short track event of the year. But it was the dueling teammates out of the Junior Johnson stable who would steal the show. Darrell Waltrip in the 11, the late Neil Bonnet in car number 12 put their Budweiser Chevys in command in much of this 400-lap event. Meanwhile, Virginian Ricky Rudd was pacing himself in the Bud Moore Ford. He's in car number 15, and he's posturing for a late race run to the front. But who won this NASCAR Racing Classic? Here's the list of possible contenders when we come back, the exciting finish.
Okay, classic cars.
63 Veg.
Split window.
Right.
68 Camaro Super Sport.
GTO, any year.
Nice. Gran Torino?
Starsky and Hutch. Good car.
65 Mustang Ragtop.
It's obvious.
75 Pacer.
Tail fin.
Bumper bullets.
Bench seats.
Drive-ins.
Boss 302s. 427 big block LED8 with an 850 double pump.
Beechwood aged Budweiser. Crisp, clean, classic.
Robert, all we need here is some oil and we'll be ready to crank. Okay. Yes, get us suitcases to have one.
Yes, sir, right away.
Robert, we're out. Get us suitcases and fly.
There's only one motor oil that Robert Yates Racing relies on for complete protection. Haviland Formula 3 from Texaco.
That was quick.
Yeah, they had it right down the street.
The same Haviland Formula 3 you can use in your car.
Buy a case of Haviland, get a free camera, and a chance for a free trip on Continental Airlines.
You know those credit card commercials where they tell you to jaunt off to some exotic paradise? This isn't one of them, okay? We're taking our MasterCard to the supermarket. How's that for exotic? Actually, I guess it is kind of exotic. I mean, you've got a MasterCard, they've got tropical fruit and crystal clear water, right? And now, no card is more accepted on the planet, including supermarkets. And it's smart to use your monthly statement to keep track of your grocery spending. I mean, the supermarket isn't exactly paradise, but at least you can drink the water. MasterCard, it's more than a credit card. It's smart money.
At AutoZone, most of our customers are the kind of people who like to work on their cars themselves. That way they save money, and they know the work's done right. Of course, when they come to AutoZone, they know they're going to find the right part for the right price. But sometimes, what they're looking for is just a little advice. And that's okay, because we don't put a price tag on it. You see, at AutoZone, we take pride in taking care of our customers, and we've learned that when you treat folks right, they keep coming back.
If you chose Ricky Rudd, you're right. Here's how it happened. Budweiser teammates Neil Bonnet in the 12 and Darrell Waltrip in the 11 dominated much of the race. They led all but 9 of the first 335 laps. While they were battling for the victory, Ricky Rudd was biding his time, waiting to make a late race charge. Pretty soon, Neil Bonnet would go diving into the pits. His problem was a cut-down tire. It put Neil out of contention. He wound up 5th in the final rundown. Now, it's going to be down to a 2-car race. Rudd decides to make his move, and on lap 380, he takes the lead away from DW. It turned out to be the race-winning pass. Rudd never again gave up the lead. Who Won is brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud.
Just as we come back, it is a crash in turn 1. Todd Bodine spinning just seconds to go and getting collected just at the exit of pit road. Todd Bodine's number 75, badly thrashed, at least 2, maybe 3 cars involved.
I believe I've seen the 15 car of Lake Speed and Todd racing pretty hard. We look at a replay here, maybe we can see what happened. I was watching that race a little bit earlier.
I noticed it started way back just beyond the flag stand here in the front straightaway. You can see the black tire marks.
Well, it was in that whole scramble of cars we were showing earlier. He was running in 15th position. He's got a tire down and he's dragging that car back into the pits, and Ernie Irvin is taking this opportunity to bring the lead machine back on pit road as well. Now here's another gander of what happened down here going into turn 1.
Yeah, you can see that the 15. Hard to see anything. We needed to back up a little bit, but definitely the 75 and the 15 got into it.
Let's go to Dick Berggren.
Back in the pit again with that number 28 car with exactly the same problem. The windshield is badly oiled. Everybody up and down pit road is going to take 4 tires on this stop. They've already got right side tires on Irvin's car. They got 2 All-Pro guys on that team, but what a nice pit stop. 18-8. Ready.
Martin has already got the right sides on, left side's going on. There is a problem on the 6 car. He will be coming back in the pits next lap. Seems that he has a throttle sticking, and I can tell you here at Richmond, Mark is taking a little bit of different groove. He is not driving in nearly as hard over those last few laps. They're going to go under the hood. Possible linkage sticking on the air cleaner.
That doesn't sound very good. I mean, this is the one place you don't want this, and maybe Martin. Geez, it's terrible.
You certainly don't want that happen anywhere where you have to get off the throttle as much as you do here and use the brake. It's a bad situation when the throttle hangs up.
So here he comes on the pit road. A little extra work to be done on Mark Martin's car. This could be a critical time for him, so we'll stay right with him as he pulls on. We see that Jarrett is in, Sachs is on pit road, Andretti, Michael Waltrip. And there you see the car all the way at the top of pit road. Car number 6 is in there, and they're ready to go under the hood.
Of course, very fortunate for them. They did catch it on a caution track.
Yeah, they are. You know, the throttle linkage is such a simple part of the race car. It's always the story. The nickel and dime parts give you the problem. It's very easy. It's a lever. Put in a little bit of grease, and evidently, you know, sometimes when you wash these cars every time you get back home, you get some of the grease out of it, and maybe, you know, the adhesion is getting.
The famed fist hammer treatment seems to have taken care of car number 6 and got him back out there with 191 laps now complete in the Pontiac Excitement 400 this afternoon. A little change of situation there from Mark Martin. He had things going well. He completed 143 miles. 156 left to go to call this one today. 400 laps the distance. You're watching Ernie Irvin's Ford, number 28. And I think Randy Pemberton has more to tell us about that pit stop. They may not have found the remedy.
Well, Steve Meal had the right fist going on top of the air cleaner, but Mark went back out. He knew it immediately. He said, guys, still sticking. So we're going to spray a little WD-40 on it this time, man, and we'll see what happens now. But Mark said it immediately it was not right. So, well, they're giving it 1 to go, so this is not good for the 6th crew.
Yeah, they need to bring her back in and squirt some of that liquid winch on her.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is talking about Steve Meal taking his fist and hitting on the air cleaner base. Evidently, maybe the air cleaner base has turned a little bit, and it's sticking on the throttle as Mark is going back and forth.
It runs very close on it there, and if Steve hit it on the right side, what he's trying to do is just cock it, bend it over to the right a little bit, get it up away from that throttle linkage on the left-hand side.
We're ready to go racing. We're at 192. The lights off on the pace car. They're ready to come down, and 6 did not take the...
6 car stayed on the racetrack, did not come back in.
Anybody has a passenger car at home, you know when you put the air cleaner on top of the carburetor, it's very close to your throttle linkage, but even closer on a race car. And if, you know, within a quarter inch, if something gets hit, bent, it's really close. It can hang that throttle up.
Well, let's see what happens on this restart as they bring them down. It will be Irvin first, Wallace second, followed by Gordon, Earnhardt, Kyle Petty. Back in 6 is Jeff Burton, Terry Labonte. From 37th up to 7th, Rick Masters 8th, Brett Bodine 9th, and Mark Martin, he is in 10th. Clean starting away. And these restarts, with the weather as it is today, just a bit on the cool side, are critical, David, on these tires.
Yes, they really are, because they're not heated up yet. And as you've seen on that restart, the 4 car did spin sideways a little bit and had to get off the throttle and back on it.
This is really sometimes the fun part of a race. You've been out there for 80 laps, your tires are slipping and sliding, you get to put on these new tires. It feels like $1 million race car. We'll end up getting about 30 laps in this, then we'll be back to the same old thing. But right now, cars are a lot faster, and it's a lot of fun on new tires.
Watching Sterling Marlin, if you're just joining us, he's a couple of laps down, had trouble early in the going, getting a spot back from Jeff Gordon. He's got to wheel by both Ernie Irvin and now Rusty Wallace in 2nd spot to make up a lap and hopefully find himself a caution. Get a chance to circulate around this 3/4-mile track and try to bring back another. It's happened before. Richard Petty one time made up 7 laps and came back to victory. But it's much harder these days, David.
Yes, it is. It's very difficult today. I recall the time Richard done that right here at Richmond.
Yep.
In fact, I believe one time he was as much as 13 laps down and won the event here.
Back straight away, tightening it up for first spot. You see the 28 car of Ernie Irvin under heavy challenge from Rusty Wallace out of 4. Around a complete lap 197. Dave Marcus, Kenny Wallace by. I'm Ken Squire this afternoon with all the excitement of the Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS. We'll be coming next to you from Charlotte, North Carolina with the 600 late on that Memorial Day afternoon. Hope you plan to join us for that one. Got to go some to stay with the intensity of this battle. No one has let that leader get away. But we've got one in the wall. Nemechek in car number 41 in turn 3 slides along the outside. He comes into the main straightaway, picks it up, and there is no caution. There you see the Meineke number 41 that took that high slide through 3 and 4, gathers it up and keeps on scooting.
Didn't appear as though the car had any right side sheet metal damage as it went by in front of us here, so I think he just got up high and got up in those marbles.
He had a handful, and believe me, he's gathering everything back up now and collecting his thoughts. He came very, very close to that wall.
Don't you know how it feels, Kenny? Just you can feel him drawing up on that seat, can't you?
Everything passes by. You're going in that corner, you know you've lost it, and when you gather it back up, it's like cold sweat coming over you.
Do you say, what a marvelous driver I am, or you say, thank you, Lord?
You want to tell everybody how you saved it, but in your mind you know God was helping you.
Halfway in the race. 200 laps down, 200 to go in the Pontiac Excitement 400. As Ernie Irvin sets the pace with Rusty Wallace, the challenger. Jeff Gordon, the youngster, lying third. More in a moment.
The Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS is brought to you by Spitfire Spark Plugs and by McDonald's.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts, and all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
Keep America running.
My truck has 99,000 miles on it, and it's like a brand new engine.
America is talking about split fire.
I feel like I have a new engine.
No hesitation. You hit your passing gear, you're gone. Right now.
Split fire won a United States patent. It doesn't look like any other spark plug. It doesn't work like any other spark plug.
I love them. I have them on my motorcycle, my boat, and my car.
Love them. Love them.
Split fire at $5.99. America knows it only costs more till you use it.
I can say I was saving at least $3 to $4 a week.
Probably getting, I would say about 20 miles more per tank full, and that's a lot for me.
They'll pay for themselves, basically, in the first 6 months you own them.
Split fire. It only costs more till you use it. Here's another split fire breakthrough. Twin core wire sets with a dual firing path to every plug. More power and more mileage or your money back.
I got a Michael Jordan MVP cup, a Michael's favorite burger from McDonald's. He's bound to let me play one-on-one.
Hurry into McDonald's today for Michael's favorite extra value meal, the Double Big Mac. And for 39 cents more, supersize it or any extra value meal for more fries and more drink. And get an MVP collector cup free.
Charles, you sitting here.
So what do you say?
Just this once.
What you want is what you get.
To my dear friend Charles.
At McDonald's today.
Question. If your cold pill's so good, how come your symptoms keep coming back? Because your pill doesn't work 24 hours.
Epidac 24 does.
Most cold pills last 6 hours, the rest 12. One Epidac gives consistent relief 24 hours. Epidac keeps cold symptoms from coming back.
That's just part of the some 70,000 plus gathered together on a lovely day here in Richmond, Virginia. And we've got a spin and a spill as we come back to you at lap 206. Bobby Labonte has looped it in turn number 4. He gathers it up and comes back. I don't know how much damage. He took some damage.
He got pretty darn lucky there. That was great, either driving or I don't know. But he was just fine. He spun out in front of everybody and he took right off.
But he did take a punch in the door on the right side. That panel on the right side is indented. Somebody got a piece of that number 22, and the caution is out again. That is the 4th caution of the day. It comes at lap 208. We're showing 208 as it comes out for the 4th caution. So after we were caution-free for better than 120 laps, we're beginning to pick them up again. What's happening out here at mid-distance? Getting a little over-anxious on these restarts, guys?
Well, they're getting lapping pretty quick, don't you think, Dave?
Well, yeah, that, but, you know, you're coming in, you get fresh tires, and, man, that car feels good compared to the way it was before on those hot tires. And everybody gets a little eager, and, you know, they're going to get to the front. It's just a good feeling race car, a confidence builder, and you get in trouble sometimes.
Yeah. All the leaders are back on pit road. And let's go to Dick Berggren as they all come in.
Well, Ernie Irvin is in, and so are the other leaders. Number 2, Rusty Wallace in second spot, pitting just up pit road here. The front, 28's on the top, 2's on the bottom. The front tires are absolutely smoking on Irvin's car. The brakes are very heated. He got beaten by Rusty Wallace out of pit road. Wallace beats him out.
So the hood is up on the 6th car.
The what?
The hood is up on the 6th car. They probably are working on that throttle, spraying it with liquid rinse.
And trying to get that thing so it'll perform again. There you see Harry Gant. He was in the pits for an hour and 20 minutes, really in the garage area, trying to get it. Here's the number 6 car trying to get itself back on track as Mark Martin comes out. Sticky throttle in that car. Now Sterling Marlin comes in. Musgrave, Jarrett, Schrader, Jeff Bodine, Michael Waltrip, John Andretti, all on pit road.
You know, I believe the 22 car, Bobby Labonte, that dent was seen in the right side, I believe that happened earlier at the top of the race.
In that first incident?
Yeah, I think Harry Gant kind of sideswiped his door there.
Took a piece of that one?
Yeah, that was in there earlier. I didn't
In that
notice.
earlier crunch?
Yes, it was.
All right, then. So he just got around, but he didn't take any damage that he hadn't already
Morgan
received.
Shepherd done a great job of getting high there and getting his car stopped to keep from running into Bobby Labonte.
Well, here's Harry Gant in his last performance in this race at Richmond. He will be back here in September. Hope you'll be here, too. And you're watching as, again, Mark Martin comes about, and they continue to work on his car, cleaning the windshield. Now they're doing some tire change work. You know, this race, guys, is almost a duplicate of what we had here a year ago. Remember, this was the race. Davey Allison won his last race. Then he fought with your brother the whole deal, and it was the 28 and 2. Now it's Ernie Irvin out there. But it looks a great deal like what we saw 1 year ago on a day similar to this.
I think that says a lot about a combination. Davey Allison, one of the greatest race car drivers to ever live, but still the 28 car has a great chassis setup. They kept good pit notes, and here they are up front again.
Exactly right. That's where your notes definitely come in handy. I mean, you got to keep them, got to keep the chassis under the race car.
These race cars don't come back every week, every year and get lucky, do they, Dave? You got to keep notes just like a professor would a scientist. When they go back after this race, they'll put the car on scales, which will weigh every wheel. They'll write down the precise weight. They'll have everything. To the springs, they'll come back and unload them.
That's exactly right. Everyone keeps very good records, and of course, that doesn't always mean they work when you come back, because there may be a change in tires, weather, the track surface, and things like that, but you still have to keep good notes.
Riding with Mark Martin out here as he tries to get this car to perform back at the level it was. He's still in the lead lap, but he's being shown the tail end of the lead lap, back in 6th spot. And let's get a comment from Randy.
I'm just saying, guys, you got to realize what goes on in these pits. After caution's over, there's like 8 guys working on tires for Rusty Wallace's crew. I mean, these are the guys that make this car hook up and go. Rusty is an excellent driver, as well as many of these other guys out there, but it's the work that goes on in here that makes these cars click, and Rusty's certainly clicking today.
He was right back in the top of the line here. There he is, showing up on the top of the leaderboard, Rusty Wallace.
The green flag this lap by.
Yeah, there's a shot of Labonte just getting out of shape. Looks like Jimmy Spencer might have been on that one just a little as they had trouble up there in 3. We're back under green. This is lap 2:14. They're working with Wallace for the first time today out in front. Ernie Irvin in 2nd up on the outside, followed by Gordon, Kyle Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Brett Bodine, Todd let's see, that would be Jeff Burton in 7th. And then Terry Labonte in 8th, Rick Mast in 9th, Mark Martin 10th, and Musgrave in 11th.
You know, we got 10 cars on the lead lap here. Those guys on the outside lane on these restarts, you know, every once in a while have a little problem with the guys on the inside. The guys on the inside are 1 lap down. On the outside are the leaders.
Look at Ernie Irvin trying that outside line. Working it pretty well up there. He's got some lap cars that he's working with. There's Musgrave, and he seems comfortable there, staying out 8 or 9 feet. Remember how Richard Petty used to win all those races right up there all the time? In fact, he used to go out that last hour and just work his own line. He'd work way up, what, 3 or 4? He'd be, what is he doing out there?
Well, Richard spent a lot of time in a lot of races working that groove up during the event. Late in the race when he needed it, he had it, and he won many races by using that high outside groove. Wilkesboro was a classic example. No one ran as high as Richard.
Ned Jarrett tells a great story about running on dirt, where he spent a whole lot of time on building a cushion on the outside. Went 5 laps down the car owner, went berserk. Then when it was time to go, went right around. I think he won by 2 laps that night.
That's what we were talking about earlier. That's a veteran. He knows that. It's experience and patience. He gets that groove that he wants, so when he needs it later, he's got it.
And you can still do it on asphalt. That's the key here. That's how subtle this game is. Take a look at this struggle. There you see the 8. That is Burton, and the 5, Terry Labonte. That struggle is back in 7th position. Terry Labonte, who started dead last, and here's Mark Martin looking him over for you. The Pyro car giving you these great pictures.
And you got Rusty right now setting the pace out front. Of course, Rusty can use that racetrack right now to his advantage. He can coast down in those corners, take it easy through the middle, let that car drift a little high on the exit of the corner, and take good care of those tires. No one is pressuring.
See the 14 car of John Andretti. fading back a bit. He's had a really good day in the financial world luminous, starting 24th and all the way up into the top 10. But it seems to be developing probably an engine problem or something. It is backing up on John Andretti and Reed. That driver does not back up.
Ken, I think I've seen him just make a late pit stop after the rest of the car, so I believe that's what dropped him back. Evidently they had a
See, now
problem.
he's falling down there on the inside, and the whole field's eating him up. They're heading in for lunch out of turn 2.
This is some good racing in the back. These guys aren't really where they want to be, but they know they can't hold up. The 2-car Rusty Wallace is out front, 30, 40 laps. You know they got to keep running hard or else they get lapped.
Dick Berggren has a thought.
Well, if the mark of a good team is that they are never satisfied, consider Jeff Gordon's to be an excellent team. They have complained all day that that car is not fast enough. Yet all day the car has run 3rd, 4th, always in the top 5. They've continued to adjust on every stop. Gordon has no specific complaints. They're still working on it, and they still think there's more speed in it.
The interval between 1st and 2nd is a couple of seconds as you see Gordon back in that 3rd position. He was 32nd just last week after that big crash, but at Daytona, 4th place and led a few laps down there.
Talked to Ray Everham this morning, seen him carrying some springs through the garage already at 7 o'clock. I said, Ray, it's too late for that. He said, no, it's not. He said, we're making a change. We had a little bit of a problem in the corner. We're going to change the spring on the car. We think it's going to help. He said, what's your opinion? We talked about it a second. I said, I believe, Ray, you're going the right way. Looks like it is working for
Ray Everham, the crew chief on the car number 24. Apparently it did go the right way. Now you're riding in the Exide Batteries car. Jeff Bodine giving you these pictures from the 25th position as he looks up. Sterling Marlin and others deployed just in front of him with 225 laps complete.
Hi, I'm Marielle Hemingway for the World of Audubon. Join me as I travel through America's wildlife refuges, land dedicated to the protection of wild plants and animals. If you think refuge means sanctuary from humans, you might be surprised. You call this a refuge? Join me for Seeking Sanctuary, a World of Audubon special.
10 Eastern tonight, exclusively on TBS. We'll put the crib there.
This is one event designed with home improvements in mind. The Sears National Hardware Sale. Easy Living flat interior paint, only $8.99 a gallon. This Craftsman 3/8-inch drill, cordless or corded, or a saber saw, all your choice, only $29.99. And a half-horsepower Craftsman garage door opener with 2 transmitters, just $149.99.
That was fast.
The biggest hardware event of the season brings America's best to you. The National Hardware Sale at Sears.
See this? It won't make you smarter. When it was decided how smart you'd be, your credit limit didn't matter. You can't buy intelligence, okay? Well, maybe you could. I mean, no card is more accepted on the planet than MasterCard. So you could buy books and computers and chemistry sets, and that could make you smarter. And Master Values discounts can save you up to 25% at thousands of stores. And if that's not buying intelligence, at least it's buying intelligently. So maybe a MasterCard could make you smarter. We ought to get you on a quiz show. MasterCard. It's more than a credit card. It's smart money.
Check this out. Larry Bird's favorite burger and Larry Bird MVP cup from McDonald's. Now it's got to let me play one-on-one.
Now at McDonald's, get an MVP collector cup featuring some of the biggest NBA superstars free when you supersize any extra value meal for 39 cents more. Like Larry's favorite, the double quarter pounder with cheese. Hurry to McDonald's today and collect all 6.
Charles, this is for you. Hey, thanks. Now can I play? No.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Yo, Mark Dolby.
What can I do for ya?
So that's your hot new Grand Am V6 down there. Looks fun, Mark.
Pontiac's a blast to drive all right, but it also makes a lot of sense.
Really? Prices on imports like a Gordon Camry are way out.
And Pontiac Grand Am's holding the line?
Thousands less, with airbag and ABS standard.
Well, shoot.
Don't mind if I do.
Hey, nice talking to you, man. Whoa.
We are driving excitement, Pontiac.
Completing 232 laps here this afternoon. 174 miles are down, just 168 laps to go. Rusty Wallace up in front, and hey guys, that liquid wrench slickest move award. How about Wallace slithering out there in front of the opposition, number 28 Ernie Irvin off pit road? You got any other nominees?
Well, I don't know right now.
You're not allowed to vote on that.
I can't vote on Rusty. He's my brother, but I'll say one thing. Rusty Wallace has not led a lap up until this point. The point is that his crew got him out of the pits first, put him in the lead, which gave him 5 bonus points, which is really important towards the end of the year championship. His crew got him in the lead, and he's run off right now.
Very important. That was an important pit stop and a good movement. Like you pointed out, Kenny, there's 5 points. I mean, if you do it every race at the end of the year, that's an extra 155 points that you would not have had.
And that's unbelievable. 155 extra points if you can lead a lap every race.
That's sort of like getting to run one race that no one else got to run.
Well, here you see the man in second place. That is Ernie Irvin. What a run he had at Rockingham, 5th last week. How about last week in Rockingham, Ernie Irvin?
You know, the way I looked at it, we had a fairly bad day down there. Got caught in the pits one time and then lost the cylinder. We wound up 5th. That's what it takes to win a championship. Have a bad day, turn it into a top 10. So we're going to turn that top 10 into a top 5 and go home with our head standing up high and work on the next one.
Now here's part of the story on Ernie Irvin. Under caution, it appeared the brakes on the number 28 car were glowing. And perhaps, is that why he might be drifting in the turns a little out there, David?
Could well be, Ken. Maybe they did ball that brake fluid a little bit and are just trying to get, let it cool back down, not burn those brakes up. Because once you overheat them and burn them up, you can destroy the brake rubber O-rings, and if you do that, you have to come in and fix it. There's no cure for that other than to disassemble it and fix it.
That's right. This is one of the biggest braking racetracks besides Martinsville, Virginia. This track is hard on brakes. When you watch the cars, you see those big ducts in the front. What I mean by ducts is those big openings in the front of the race car that's trying to feed air to cool these brakes down.
But you are allowed 32 square inches per wheel on the front. Most teams run 3 3-inch brake hoses to those brakes for cooling.
Does it work?
It helps.
How much more would you like? Take the whole front off like a modified?
I think is what we'd like to see is maybe the 32 square inches is okay, but we'd like to see 4-inch hoses. I think that would add a little more safety factor to it, allowing you to get more air to those brakes.
I believe Dick Berggren has something for us.
Well, to answer the question on Ernie Irvin, Ken Squire, the brakes on that car are fine. He is using them hard, and they are glowing, but they are still there. The problem is they got a set of tires that they just don't like. It shows up in the driver's seat of his pants. Irvin says the car doesn't feel good, and it has shown up on the watch as well. Now, the real question here is, how, with these radial tires, is it possible to get a bad set? You walk up and down pit road and talk to a dozen drivers, a dozen car owners, a dozen tire experts. They'll all tell you it happens, and none of them can tell you why. But Ernie's got one right now. Bad set of tires.
Well, we may not know the whole part of the story. I mean, it could just be such a thing that they played a little bit with tire pressures, and we're not aware of that, and maybe they're not telling you. But also, some teams did say at Rockingham, I believe it was the number 1 car, Rick Mass, that they found a 1/4 of an inch difference in tire stagger, and that is very rare for the radial tire. Normally, they are all exact same size.
Right, and when we're talking about tire starter, we're talking about the circumference difference between, say, the right rear and the left rear. And what these radial tires do, they have a set circumference. In other words, if you measured the left rear, it would be 87 inches around. And if you went to the right rear, it would be 87 1/8. That would be 1/8 inch of what we call stagger. And if anybody can keep that consistent, that's great. But these tires are made out of rubber, and they do stretch somewhat.
Well, on the bioply tires, that was always a problem. However, since we've gone to the radial tires, you don't see nowhere near as many teams measuring the tires anymore, because we find week in and week in, day out, that these tires are very, very consistent. We don't see that much change.
Taking a ride with Derek Cope right now in car number 98. The issue is tires here. And it has been a major issue over the first races of the season, where Hoosier took the pole at the Rockingham and at Daytona. It's been Goodyear here, and Goodyear dominating most of the day in this race. And now you're watching as the 6th car, Mark Martin, is scrambling and getting himself into 6th position, moving Brett Bodine back to 7th. And so Mark Martin seems to maybe cured some of his problems, and he's on a roll again. Remember, if you're just joining us, Mark had a great run in the early going, first half of the race. He was right up there, duking it out. He's had some problems, but in there they thought they had a throttle that was sticky. They seemed to remedy that situation, and Mark Martin's charging back in. But it's Wallace first, Irvin second, Gordon third, Kyle fourth, and Earnhardt fifth. So there's your leader. Rusty Wallace stays up in front. And there's the car in second as you get an idea on interval. Back 2. That Ford of Ernie Irvin. And let's go find Jeff Gordon right there. He maintains the 3rd position. Kyle Petty back just a little further. A couple of lap cars. You see Bobby Hillen there. And here you see then Harry Gant's car. And there's Kyle. He's in 4th as you look the front of the field over. 3 car should be right behind him. Here he comes, Dale Earnhardt in the 5th position.
Kyle Petty is one of the best race car drivers at keeping the car on the bottom. Every racetrack he goes to, this man will be around the bottom of the racetrack. You can watch him going to turns 1 and 2 underneath the yellow line. He's really good at doing that. And it shows up. He's running 4th.
So he stays 4th and staying 5th is Earnhardt. So that's how the front of the field is deployed. And again, as we get down to 248, getting close to 250 laps complete, we're still showing 10 cars in the lead lap. And the man pacing the field is this man, Rusty Wallace, trying to win again with the car they call Midnight. Built, that original frame came out as a Pontiac. Now it's a Ford, and it's still looking good here at Richmond.
There's only one beer with pure refreshment written all over it. Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft and MGD Light. Why so many people are getting out of the old and into the cold.
I found that everything I use it for just increases the power. It's like getting an engine option.
America is talking about split fire.
It was just unbelievable how it ran and how much better gas mileage was.
I had heard about the plugs, and everybody said they were great, and I tried it myself, and it did increase my gas mileage.
And it runs just like a brand new engine. I mean, it's got power just like if it was brand new right off the showroom floor. They're the best plugs I ever put in my cars.
Split fire. At $5.99, it only costs more till you use it.
The car on the right was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the other with conventional oil. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it needs a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oil. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
At Advance Auto Parts, we stock over 50,000 name brand parts for most makes of cars and trucks. Everything from spark plugs to ignition modules and half shafts. In fact, just about the only thing you can't get at Advance Auto Parts are tires.
Welcome back to Richmond. The Pontiac Excitement 400 coming up on the three-quarter mark at today's event. And Rusty Wallace, as many people thought he would do. Rusty Wallace showing the way at the moment as we take a look down from our Advance Auto Parts aerial platform with PDQ Parts and Service from Advance. And we're glad to have them with us here today. I'm sure you've got plans in place to take in a Winston Cup race or two this year. If you've always wondered how the insiders do it, we've got some advice for you here. Brand new directory is available, and we'll tell you how to get one in a few moments. It's got maps of all the racetracks on the Winston Cup Tour. It's got indications of where to go for hotel information, tickets, travel to and from the racetrack, and entertainment ideas that you might like to enjoy on your weekends when you visit the Winston Cup racetracks around the series here. And this is available from a 1-800 number. We'll tell you more about this in just a little bit of time here. There it is, in fact, on our screen. 1-800-RACE-345 is the number to call. You can pick up one of these brand new, the official Winston Cup NASCAR directory for all of us fans who like to travel to the races. It's just jam-packed with driver information and a whole lot more as you make your plans to travel the Winston Cup Tour this year. It's really something. If you're going to go to Charlotte, for example, in May, we'll be there at the end of May for the Coca-Cola 600. Here's a map on how you can get to and from the racetrack if you've never been there before. Put together by Bell South Advertising and Direct Marketing in the South. And again, There's the phone number, 1-800-RACE-345. We all have our favorite restaurants around the tour. Ken Squire, we visited one of those places last night, didn't we?
Yeah, the page I like the best is the blank page. There's a blank page for every track where you can write in, you know, where the radar is when you're coming in and out of town.
That's right. You get caught every time.
1 8/10 of a second, the interval between first and Mr. Lucky. 1 8/10 of a second. Look at Rick Mast. Gee, what a day Mast has had. Remember, he started well up in front. What's the story on Mast, guys? Is Kevin Hamlin, his crew chief, really that good? The guy that started out up north with Butch Miller?
Well, you know, Kevin Hamlin is a really good friend of mine. I started driving a race car in 1986, and at that time, Butch Miller and Kevin Hamlin were teamed up in ASA, winning championships and winning lots and lots of races. Kevin Hamlin is one of those hidden heroes or hidden pit crew members. He's good, and right now he's finally worked 3-4 years in this sport, and it's finally showing. Hard work and determination.
Well, I think is what you're seeing, too, is, you know, you've kept the same people on the team. Kevin's been there a number of years now, and that's the key to a lot of the success. Keeping the same people together for a period of time where they all get used to working to one another, and they know what Rick wants in the race car, and it starts paying off.
Well, right now, they just lost a spot as Terry Labonte moves up into 8th and number 5. And that moves car number 1 back to 9th. But both of them are having a very good day. And again, if you're just joining us, Terry Labonte has come from dead last on the field. Meanwhile, Rick Mast started right up there in 4th position today. Outside of row 2, had a great qualifying run, looking very stout and very strong thus far. Now here is Terry Labonte continuing to roll, and Dick Berggren has more for us.
Well, Mark Martin's throttle has been repaired, but Steve Neal, you're a long ways back. Can you make up the distance you lost?
I don't know. Rusty's real good right now. We're pretty far back because we worked our cars so hard coming up through traffic. Everybody was good on their stickers, so it's hard to get by them. We're a little bit better than most everybody now, but Rusty's driving out. We need a caution to win this race.
And there's going to be at least one more pit stop, probably 2.
264 laps, and look at him struggle with car number 6. He was all the way over on that steering wheel as he tried to straighten it up out of 2. They talk about Mark Martin running a pretty neutral setup, and how does that work on a 3/4 mile track like this?
You know what the fans need to do right now is watch the screen closely. Mark Martin is wearing colored gloves. Mark runs what I call a neutral to loose race car. Some people like running a tight race car. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. But Mark sometimes comes up off the corner with the car loose. You can watch his hands moving to the right. It's a faster car for quite a while, but then sometimes it gets a little bit looser. But he is great at running a neutral to loose race car.
He is in 6th position, 9 seconds back to this man. Rusty Wallace stays out in front. Remember, he won 10 races last year, so what is everybody saying? Everybody keeps at, can you win 12 this year? How about a dozen from the Miller Genuine Draft car? Here's what Rusty told us.
Everybody's, you know, judging me off of those 10. They're thinking, well, if Rusty doesn't win 10 in a Ford, he's backing up. That's not the case. Now, in my heart, I feel like I can win 12. I really do, because I got all my tracks coming up are good ones for me. I'm at Richmond, and Richmond is probably one of my favorite racetracks. I've had no worse than the second here in a long time. So, and we're running great. I think we're the car to beat today. But 12 wins I could do. If I did 6, that'd be killer, wouldn't it?
Well, right now he's going around that last car on the lead lap. That is Jeff Burton going a lap down in the Stavola brothers, Ray Besta's car, as Rusty Wallace now cuts his own swath around this racetrack as he waited until mid-distance of the event before he began to roll, Dave Marcus.
That's exactly right, Ken. And, you know, like Buddy Parrott said a while ago, too, he said, nothing's wrong with our race car. Rusty's doing it right. And one thing I guess we need to point out now is it looks like Goodyear has a dominant tire here today. Now, all the cars on the lead lap are on Goodyears. I mean, Jeff Burton's been running great, but Rusty just did put him a lap down.
Well, Hoosier continued, and the prediction was today that Hoosier could do pretty well in the qualifying, but they might back up once the race began. They've been on the pole twice this year. What's the prediction here between you guys as to how that battle's going to go?
To me, some of the indication of that was when the Goodyear tire got faster in qualifying on the second lap, I said to myself, that is a better race tire. The Hoosier tire was faster on the first lap, but their second laps didn't see that much of a gain. I said to myself, that tire's a little bit soft. Sure, it's going to be good for qualifying, but it is not going to be that good for the race.
The tires, you know, sometimes people want to tippy-toe around that story, but you can't because it's the story of the year right now. 2 tire companies coming in. It's great, though. I mean, You know, some people feel differently about it. You know, it's not a communist country, so, I mean, everybody can do what they want. But then again, a lot of money is spent, and it's a difficult situation. So every week there's a tire winner, and we should be able to talk about it.
About a month's salary for a lot of folks in one set of tires. Take a look at what's happening out here with Terry Labonte. Remember where he started and where he's riding right now. He is having a great run. He's in 8th. They've got another car in 3rd and 12th. The Rick Hendrick team, they've only won once here in Richmond back in 1986 when Tim Richmond pulled it off. Terry Labonte's giving it a great day right now. We'll see what happens as it goes on. We're going to stay here. We've just had a crash in turn 3. We were going to a commercial. We'll stay right here as Michael Waltrip flattened out the right side of the Pennzoil car in the 3rd turn wall, and he's brought out another caution. 5th caution of the day happened when Michael Waltrip dove into turn number 3, and the car just skittered into the wall. It slapped it. It wasn't that hard, but it's hard enough, and it's brought out a caution. He may have left some debris up there. As you look at it, it looks cosmetic. How bad can it be when it looks like that?
Well, it can be pretty bad, Ken. I think I noticed the right front tire is towed out really bad, so there is front suspension bent on the car, whether it be tie rod in, lower control arm, or what, but they do have a suspension problem.
Yeah, you can see it there.
You can definitely see the right rear, too. The right rear trailing arm is bent, Dave. Ken, the rear is pushed back, so
yes,
he's going to have his hands full from here on out.
Leaders are pitting. Wallace, Urban, Gordon, Earnhardt, Martin, Kyle Petty, Brett Bodine, and Rick Mast, all on pit road here. Take a look at what's happening here. Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, Rusty Wallace, you did such a terrific job in that last pit stop. Is now in the pit area. All the leaders are in. Wallace with the fastest pit crew on pit road. They're down, they're gone. He's going to beat them all out again. 18-3. He's got them all out. Gordon is on his way out. And then finally Urban. Urban lost a couple of spots in the one spot in that one.
Now, track position is so critical at Richmond, and here you see the number 24 car of Gordon making that move and got himself out there in very good time. The fastest stop, again, was Wallace, but a position picked up by the car of Jeff Gordon. The Ray Everham team did a heck of a job for him.
Exactly right, Ken, and of course, like you say, Rusty beat him out, but I talked to Ray Everham at Daytona about that. Well,
hold on, he lost the tire. There's a tire rolling off, and no wonder the pit stop was so good. They're short a tire.
Left rear.
Here it comes. Hello, car 24. Where is your tire? Let's go back down to Dick Berggren.
There it is in turn 4.
Well, the left rear is gone on Jeff Gordon's car. The rear fender is also pushed in. The crew is lifting the car, trying to get the jack under it. They don't have the jack under the car yet. What a shame. It was a great pit stop, but not quite. They've now got the left rear tire on the car. This is a real shame. Schrader now trapped into the pit area by Gordon. Left rear tire gone, car knocked down. Oh, boy. That did it. That blew it. Jeff Gordon, tough break.
Second week in a row. Earnhardt had this happen last week. He had loose lug nuts on a tire. Today it catches up with Gordon. Talk about great track position. He's got some going to do now.
Well, he does now, but I mean, it's so competitive anymore in those pits. Everybody's trying just for that little bitty hundredth of a second, and those are the kind of things that happen when it gets that competitive.
Right. You know, I'm looking at the monitor right now. We got 9 cars on the lead lap. Jeff's okay. You know, there's only 276 laps gone by. That was a mistake. But still, I think they can come back and still run good. His car's been running in the top 3 all day long. Ray Evernham, a good crew chief. Hats off trying to get good pit stops. The team's only 1 year old.
Well, you know, I talked with Ray, like I was saying earlier, at Daytona this year, and he said, we are going to be better this year on our pit stops. We're practicing, we're training, we're going to bring new people in, we're going to move people up, we're going to do what it takes to be better. He said, we're going to beat Rusty Wallace in the pits this year.
Well, it can happen to anybody. We just saw it happen here. Well, there you see the 5-car of Terry Labonte, our Kellogg up close and personal. Hey, today it's about their driver, the one and only Terry Labonte, featured here at
Richmond. Kellogg's presents a NASCAR profile featuring Terry Labonte. In 1994, Terry Labonte opens up a new chapter in his racing career. He's brought the Kellogg sponsorship to one of the most potent teams in the Winston Cup Series, Hendrick Motorsports, and car owner Rick Hendrick. But it's been a long road to the top for this driving champion. His journey started as a 6-year-old racer in Corpus Christi, Texas.
By age 9, he was already a champion, winning the national quarter midget title. A little later, Terry would turn his attention to stock cars. That led to an important meeting with this man, big-time oil man Billy Hagan, who watched Terry race, and in 1978 made Terry an offer that he wanted to refuse. An offer to run his first ever Winston Cup race at the treacherous Lady in Black, the Darlington Raceway. Well, it didn't turn out all that badly. Terry finished an incredible 4th in the race. And then in 1979, he started running full-time on the tour. It would be only 5 more years. 5 short years later in 1984, when Terry's dream of a Winston Cup title would become reality. After 24 top 10 finishes in 30 races, Terry finished 65 points ahead of Harry Gant in the final standings to win the Winston Cup. Well, since then, Terry Labonte has gone on to race with the famed Junior Johnson Racing Team, with Richard Jackson, and back again with Billy Hagan. But now, there's a new era in Terry's career as he joins forces with the Pontiac Hendrick Motorsports team. And at 37 years old, he is still hungry for victory and for more championships.
We're back with you once again, talking about Terry Labonte. We came under green, thought we better show it to you as we got going, and guess what? Jeff Burton on the tail end of the lead lap spins up in turn number 2, and there is no caution coming out. He got it sideways. He was on the tail end of the lead lap back in about 10th spot. Now he's got it working, and he comes around. And they do not have to throw another flag. We've had cautions, 5 of them thus far in the race, with a total of 34 laps under yellow, with the 281 that have been run. Here's your story for the moment. Wallace in first and Ernie Irvin in second. Let's take a look at what happened down here just moments ago when Jeff Burton got in there.
Well, it's pretty simple to see what happened. You guys are going to make me comment on this.
Yes,
you know,
right.
Thanks. Jeff Burton really trying hard to stay on the lead lap.
And what?
Evidently, you make the call now.
Well, I think it just looked like, I mean, he was running hard, and maybe he got just a tick loose coming up off the tool. He had to check up, and when he did, Rusty was right on him. Maybe tapped him very lightly, and around he went.
How about Ernie Irvin down to the inside and taking over the lead another time from Rusty Wallace?
You see that move right there? That's a vintage, great move. I think that yesterday in the booth race, a lot of veterans, Ernie run Rusty high, getting in the corner, getting him in the marbles a little bit. If you could ever see that replay, Ernie gave him a shot in the door in the right side door.
Here they are fighting for first with Rusty Wallace and Ernie Irvin hard at it here this afternoon as they come around with 285 laps complete. Ernie Irvin's back in front.
Sunday, look who's stealing your mail.
Take a few more.
People inside the post office.
There goes Danny right there.
Taking millions. Steal, wheel, and deal. CNN presents Sunday, 9 Eastern.
There are thousands of uses for new Liquid Wrench non-flammable super lubricant with Teflon around your home, car, and shop. If it squeaks, if it rusts, if it needs protection, if it needs lubrication, new Liquid Wrench is the answer. And unlike WD-40, new Liquid Wrench is non-flammable. Liquid Wrench non-flammable stops squeaks, protects and lubricates, and is available at retailers everywhere.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts, and all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
They hate to be late. Traffic makes them mad. And waiting makes them furious. Sound familiar? Then drive through McDonald's for breakfast. It's fresh, hot, delicious, and served at top speed so you can get back in the race.
Mess with me.
Peerless Faucet didn't come up with the idea for a spout long and high enough to reach over and into large objects. We merely adapted it for the kitchen. High-rise faucet designs by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
As your engine revs higher, the oil inside creates a hydrodynamic wedge, a protective layer that builds up and keeps engine parts separated. But as your oil's viscosity breaks down, so can the wedge. That's why Castrol GTX provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. Because if your viscosity breaks down, what's next? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Try Castrol Super Clean for tough, greasy jobs. If it won't come clean with Super Clean, it won't come clean.
Providing these exciting aerial shots of today's Richmond 400 is Advance Auto Parts, home of PDQ. Parts delivered quick. The Pontiac Excitement 400 today, there you saw the standings with 291 laps complete. We're in Richmond, Virginia, the track that the Sawyer folks have put together and they keep on adding to, and have certainly created one of the finest racing facilities in America. Certainly it's the pride of Virginia these days, and they have record crowds. We'll be back here in September once again. And if you can't be here, hope you'll be with us on TBS to enjoy all the excitement of Winston Cup and Grand National Racing. For the moment, Ernie Irvin has the advantage as we get to 292, closing in on the 300-lap mark. And that car number 8 is down a lap that has been running so well. Here is the 24 car. That's being shown on the tail end of the lead lap, 9th. And in the lead lap, Jeff Gordon, after that pit stop and the tire fell off.
Yeah, I think Jeff's still in good shape. They just lost a little bit of momentum there. Try to work himself up to the pack, get himself in good position.
So he's getting down to about 105 laps to get himself a shot at getting back into this thing.
He took a swipe at Rusty there on the front straightaway. Definitely did.
Here's Ernie Irvin out in front. Real advantage for Irvin. Remember we were talking about those brakes getting hot a little earlier?
Really can, and I think, you've seen Ernie behind Rusty. And of course, we've made it aware his brakes have been glowing red. Now he gets good, fresh, clean air out front, and it will give him an opportunity to cool those brakes down.
There's Bobby Hillen, and he's in trouble. The Heilig Myers car number 90 easing up, and car number 90 coming onto pit road. Bobby Hillen, the Junie Donlevy car, which comes from right in the Richmond area. The driver from Texas, Freddie Fryer, now the crew chief, and they're in doing some work on that one, checking over, looks like the left front.
Dave and Ken, I don't want to touch on it a whole bunch, but it seems to me we're having a lot more flats than I've ever seen at this racetrack.
What do you think, Marcus?
Well, some of those could be due to tire pressures. We don't know what the crews are doing with tire pressure. If they're running those things a little bit too low, they're getting a lot of heat in there, maybe causing a flat tire, maybe destroying the sidewall.
We talked, I think, earlier about the fact that they would run those tires, and we might see some of those top teams backing up first 10 or 15 laps after a caution when they threw on new rubber as they keep that tire pressure low, and then we'd see them pace themselves and come back up through here.
Well, they'll definitely keep adjusting it, and they'll go lower and lower and lower until finally they get in trouble with it, and then they have to back off from it. And I think last year Rusty pointed that out one time. He had a flat, and everybody said, well, he blew a tire. He said, I didn't blow a tire. He said, we just got not enough air in it. We just got it too low, and it was our own fault.
Take a look at this battle for 4th place as we fade back to 4th and watch Brett Bodine trying to hold off Earnhardt. Earnhardt's been running a very steady pace. It might be interesting to know from his pits how they're feeling as we get down to 100 laps to go in this event. Brett Bodine is doing well, but what about his little brother, of whom he's very proud? How is Todd doing, Brett?
He's a fast learner. We saw that in the Busch Grand National Division. Very little experience, and still was a competitive and championship contender. It won't be long, and he'll be in the same position in Winston Cup.
How good is he? Is he as good as you? Is he better than Jeff? Is he how do you guys look at that?
I think Todd has taken what he feels is the best out of both Jeff and my race styles and the way we approach racing in general, and put it to good use.
Did you notice Kenny Wallace, that he never said that his brother was better than he was?
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a lot of respect for the Pemberton. But you never ask a driver if somebody's better than you. Never. And if he tells you he's better than you, then he ain't a racer.
Yeah. Maybe it's what you should have asked Ken was, well, what are you saying? Is he better?
Yeah. Well, there's Brett Bodine looking as good as anyone out here in 4th position, with Dale Earnhardt trailing him by just about half a car length. Mark Martinstein is 6th, and Rick Mast is 7th. Terry Labonte is in 8th, and Jeff Gordon is 9th. Dale Jarrett a lap down in 10th, with 11th spot being shown to Schrader, and 12th is Bill Elliott, 13th Musgrave, followed by Lake Speed. Jeff Burton ends that 2-lap down. Then we get back to 16th, and Chuck Bown is there.
That Dale Earnhardt pushing Brett real hard right now, trying to get him to go a little high on the entrance into the corner, and when he does, he will definitely duck underneath him.
As you watch Brett Bodine in car number 26, remember he is running 3 seconds down to the leader, Ernie Irvin, with Wallace in second and Kyle Petty maintaining that third position. A couple of tight battles also on the racetrack. Primary battle for the lead, and here comes Wallace, and there's the other one, and Earnhardt has made his move. Earnhardt slips down to the inside, and he is there for fourth. Around Jeremy Mayfield, and number 95 moves. The number 28 of Ernie Irvin, Wallace, is right there with him. Good battle up in front. And how close is that third-place runner, Kyle Petty, who won his first race at Richmond, Virginia back in 1986? Well, there's first and second, and as they come screaming off that fourth corner and come up to 130, 40 miles an hour, there is Kyle Petty, and that's how close he is to those leaders.
And Kyle has been sitting there all day. He's taking care of his equipment. We don't really know how strong he is. He may have more to show you, and I believe he does.
Let's go back to the garage here, pit area.
Robin, you're having a pretty good day. You got the car running as best it has all day. Have you got anything for those two guys up front?
I didn't hear you.
Have you got anything for those two guys up front?
Man, it's tough. That's two tough guys right there. Like I said, this is the best we've been, and even when we get good, they get a little bit better also. So, you know, if it comes down to a short run, maybe we can adjust, and maybe we can out-adjust them. I mean, that's all we know.
What about if you have to go all the way?
It's real close. I think there's 3 or 4 cars that are going to go all the way. It's within 2 or 4 laps, which is 1 mile, which is 3/10 of a gallon of gas. I hope the guys in the shop did their homework on the fuel cell.
We're about to find out. Look at this struggle in the lead. Wallace back on the inside. Ernie Irvin right with him into 3. Side by side for the lead at lap 3:08.
Ernie, there's a classic example of what we were talking about earlier in the race. Rusty did manage to get underneath Ernie, but now look what Ernie's found up on that high groove. He's actually beating him off the corners. Rusty goes underneath him on the end.
Right, and that's real aggravating. It's easy to run up high. It's so hard to run low when somebody's on your outside. Watch what Ernie will do here. Ernie will keep Rusty bound up right there. Rusty's got to come off low. That's really hard on those tires.
They get around the Jimmy Spencer car, and there's Irvin.
Pretty soon here, Rusty will make his mind up whether to get back in behind him or to get it done.
Well, I think
yellow's out. Got a caution on the track. I think we have more debris out there, and that will be the 5th time today we have seen yellow. Let's see. Coming to number 5. Keep swapping that lead between these top 2. We've had 10 lead changes among 7 drivers today as they come back to the line, and at lap 3:10 go under yellow for the 6th time. 6th time we've seen caution in this race, which is about average for the event.
This is where it's showdown time. There's 90 laps to go, guys.
And fresh tires, full tank of fuel. It will be interesting. And that was what I was going to comment. If Rusty keeps working underneath Ernie like that, Rusty's going to heat those tires up, and he will be forced to probably drop back. But now that's going to change with the pit stops coming up.
Here's the pit stops. You know, you got the 28 to 2, the 42 to 3. These are the best in the business. And Mark Martin has worked his way back up there.
And this is going to be an opportunity right here for the Jeff Gordon and DuPont team to cover that mistake up they had the last time.
Leaders are in. Wallace, Irvin, Petty, and they're on top 4. Martin comes in. Gordon comes in. Let's see what happens here. Let's go to Randy.
No change on the car. 4 tires. Excellent spin. Pit stop for the 28 car. Whoa, Rusty beats him out. Boy, I don't know. What about pit road speed? That was questionable on that one, in my opinion, but that's just an opinion.
We'll have to wait and see what NASCAR says.
Yeah.
Well, one thing there, you know, one car's further down pit road, the other car's closer. Sometimes, you know, you get a little bit different visual perspective on it.
And someone was a little unhappy down there. Pit stop time. Wallace Wallace at 17.7, the 28 car, Irvin at 17.8, and Earnhardt at 18.6. Little conversation on pit road. We'll update you on that when we return. 313 of the 1,400 laps complete.
The Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS is brought to you by Castrol GTX and by MasterCard.
Full roast out here. We're 1,000 miles from anywhere. Is that a ship? No one will save us.
3 Miller Genuine Drafts.
Cold filtered Miller Genuine Draft. The cold one. For those who've discovered its smooth draft taste, the world is a very cool place.
This is a Gold MasterCard, okay? Sure, it's got a credit line of at least $5,000, but it won't settle any unresolved issues from your childhood. Well, maybe it could. I mean, no Gold card is more accepted on the planet, so you can take your parents to dinner practically anywhere and say, Mom, Dad, you raised me, I owe you a steak. And it might be smart to buy them a grandfather clock to replace the one you demolished when you were 8. And if this one gets broken, the Master Purchase Plan can replace it. So, I guess a Gold MasterCard could resolve some childhood issues. Wow, Gold MasterCard. It's more than a Gold card. It's smart money.
They hate to be late. Traffic makes them mad. And waiting makes them furious. Sound familiar? Then drive through McDonald's for breakfast. It's fresh, hot, delicious, and served at top speed so you can get back in the race.
Mess with me.
The car on the right was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the other with conventional oil. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it needs a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oil. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
Looking down on Richmond International Raceway, beautiful afternoon here on a Sunday in March. And a great race. We're at the final 100 laps, and we'll get back for the green flag in a moment. I want to show you our upcoming broadcast schedule here on TBS in the Winston Cup Series. May 29th, the Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. July 17th, we go to Pocono for the Miller Genuine Draft 500. Saturday night, September 10th, we're back here in Richmond for the Miller Genuine Draft 400. We wrap it up in Charlotte in October with the Mellow Yellow 500. The Busch Grand National cars ran here yesterday in the Hardee's Frisco 250. David Green was on the pole. Robert Presley alongside. Green went to the back quickly. Everyone thought Mark Martin might be a factor in this race yesterday. He started deep in the pack, but it didn't take long for Martin to become a non-factor. There was a crash early on. It involved the 05 of Randy McDonald, the 20 of Randy LaJoie, Mike Wallace, the most damage of all. Later on, Dirk Stevens, a West Coast veteran in the 15 car, and Joe Bessie got into it, and that cleared the path for Joe Nemechek to pick up his first victory of the year. His Busch Grand National car, the car number 87, Nemechek the winner yesterday. Kenny Wallace, who we're pleased to have with us today, finished second. Harry Gann, a good third. Elton Sawyer and Hermie Sadler round out the top 5.
We're back under green, and thanks for that report on yesterday, Rick Benjamin. Terrific Grand National race, and congratulations to Nemechek and to the guy alongside you, Wallace, with a great run for second. As we unhinge this one another time, it's Wallace back in front, and Irvin in second, Kyle Petty third, Earnhardt fourth, Brett Bodine fifth on the restart. There you see Dale Jarrett in the 18 down the bottom. He is running in 10th, a lap down. They have 9 cars in the lead lap. Dale Jarrett on the bottom there in that Interstate Battery car. Trying to stay up and get that lap back if possible. It's going to be some tough sledding.
We still have 30 cars on the racetrack yet after 300 laps of racing. All are those cars durable or what?
Says a lot for these teams. A lot of preparation being done right now. It all comes down to this right here. We got about 81 laps left, and it's showdown time.
Says that our garage reporters probably had a chance to catch up on his nap. He had a siesta out there all afternoon.
Johnny Hayes.
Yeah.
Where is Johnny Hayes?
There's Rusty Wallace. And here's Rick Maston, the car number 1, back in 7th position. And look at Terry Labonte right there in 8th with him. What a job Terry Labonte has done today, although he's in trouble right now, is on the outside. Mark Martin is trying to take his spot away. Martin pressing. There you see Ted Musgrave in the car that's set on the pole. Musgrave is back in the field, being shown in 12th position at the present time, but a real good run for the Family Channel car. And Terry Labonte headed up there for a moment, losing spots to Martin, and having a lap car pick up a position over him. Musgrave's got a lot of work to do to get back up there and make up that full lap.
You know, it says a lot about this sport. How can Terry Labonte, how can he not qualify for the race and yet be running so darn good? I mean, this is what, we got two races. You've got the qualifying race and the race.
Yeah, and the qualifying has gotten so important. I mean, you can't do well if you can't get in the event. And you know, qualifying is really a lot of emphasis put in qualifying today.
More every race.
It's just taking all kinds of special things. I mean, we're using lightweight engine oils, transmission oils, rear end oils, all the lubricants, wheel bearings, everything. It almost takes another whole effort just to qualify.
77 laps remaining in the event, 77 to go. As we watch again, the 28 car pulling up, and with Rick Mast maintaining that run that he has today, holding on to 7th. You see Mark Martin right with him. Hey, we found Johnny Hayes. Let's go down to the garage area. John?
Yes, Ken, I have Jeff Bodine. Jeff, you pulled her in. What happened, bud?
Well, right from the start, just a bad day. Got run into, spun around. Every time we pitted, the caution would come out right after that. And then finally, the end of the crankshaft broke off. One of those things, it happens every once in a while, but, you know, why me? That's what you ask. But it's just a freak thing. But, you know, this really hurts. We were doing pretty good in the points. You know, we were behind today, but we're trying to get a finish out of it. And, you know, the X-Side Thunderbird was running good. We made some adjustments after those accidents and really got going pretty darn good, but going home early.
Okay, good luck next week.
Okay, see you.
Yeah, Jeff Bodine was 9th in points coming into today's race and going home early. Tough day for him. Got to be a tough day for you, Marcus.
It's tough. I know Ken before the broadcast, he said just relax and be yourself, but pretty hard to do. I don't have no steering wheel. I don't have any wrenches.
Well, I wish you well when you move on to that next race coming up at Atlanta. That's just a week away at March 13th, the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the Purolator 500 and the Busch Light 300. That's March 12th and 13th. You like that Atlanta track. You've run well there. You've had some great finishes there.
It's a great racetrack, and I've won an event there in the K&K Insurance Dodge. I've had some good finishes there, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, I hope you have a great one coming up in Atlanta. Dave Marcus and Kenny Wallace with us. Let's get back down in the pit area.
Well, we'd like to try to clear up that last pit stop. Rusty Wallace had an excellent pit stop. So did Ernie Irvin. Now, Rusty beat him out. I questioned pit road speed. Here's a replay of what happened. The story that I'm getting is NASCAR is not timing the last two pits as we head into turn 1. So obviously there goes Rusty by. Last two pits, he beat him out onto the racetrack. No question about it. So if they're not timing the last two pits, Rusty was totally legal.
You know, what you got to do is you got to be savvy in this sport. And if you qualify good and you get your own pit selection, you select the pits. There's markers where they time your speed. You get in between those and they can't time your speed. So that's one story that is pretty critical.
Definitely is.
Kid, he's really learned a lot, hasn't he?
Yeah. Just
330 down. Yeah. 70 to go today in the Pontiac Excitement 400.
Some wedding, huh?
I love weddings.
Would you consider marrying me?
I'm sorry?
Well, actually, I'm a little bored. You?
Not for long. You want a bond?
Okay, can I get you something to drink?
A martini, shaken, not stirred. And you didn't answer my question. Want a bond?
If you're serious.
I could be. How big is your TV?
Oh. Begins Saturday night at 8:05 Eastern on TBS.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts, and all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
Keep America running.
If you're looking for a little spice in your life, you'll love the new Grand Prix Sport Coupe. Sure, it has all the safety of dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. But with a 24-valve, 210-horsepower V6, it still generates plenty of heat. The Grand Prix Sport Coupe. from Pontiac.
Where do you get your wish for fish?
It's Long John Silver's for great batter dip taste. Now get our original one-piece fish and fries, just $1.79.
Only one place can grant your wish. Well, it's Long John Silver's when you want to throw a fish.
At AutoZone, most of our customers are folks who like to work on their cars themselves. But the ones who come in most often are those who work on cars for a living. Guys like Ed Graven. Now, Ed's garage is in Ogden, Utah, where most of the time you'll find him pulling an engine or sliding under a car. And just about every day, he drives past a half dozen other parts stores on his way to AutoZone. Because Ed knows that when it comes to getting the right part for the right price, there's just no place better than AutoZone.
Promotional fees and consideration have been paid by Liquid Wrench, non-flammable with Teflon. Thousands of uses around your home, shop, and car. And by the official directory for NASCAR and the Winston Cup Series. Call 1-800-RACE-345. This year, go racing with your own personal guide.
Back with you once again with 336 laps. Now completed, 64 to go to decide it this afternoon. The contest is up in front. You see Ernie Irvin up in front, Rusty Wallace in second. Take a look at how this transpired. This battle between a couple of Fords really putting it on here. Down the main straightaway, headed for one.
You know, you see Rusty, Ernie got up underneath him, and Rusty, you know, late in the race here, you know it's late, but we still got a time left, and he didn't race him hard.
Got him clean, and now he has him by 6 car lengths. There's the 28 car, and remember that car won its last race for Davey Allison here on this track just a year ago, this event. Take a look at Brett Bodine, 26, having a great day for the Kenny Bernstein team. They're in 5th spot. You see that Mark Martin has pulled right in there, and he continues to slug it out. And I think we better change one thing with you. Rick Mast has gone into 5th. That would move Brett Bodine into 6th, and that's the contest you're watching here. Number 26, Bodine is 6th. And the Mark Martin car, number 6, is running in 7th spot. Just behind them is Jeff Gordon. He is in 8th. A little further back, Terry Labonte.
We're seeing a lot of teams in the top 5 that have always had their share of problems running good. Rick Mastis is great. Brett Bodine's running great. This is a great battle up in front of us.
Hyro's camera giving us some great pictures out of Mark Martin's car. Here's Earnhardt into 3, working Kyle Petty for 3rd spot. And talk about using the outside down here through the D shape.
You see what happened there? The 42 car arced in so high, the 3 car couldn't get on the outside of him that lap. But now he gets on the outside of him.
Earnhardt's been working that high groove. He seems like he's got it figured out, especially in 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and he still favors the low groove.
For 6th spot, 3-car battle. You're riding with the guy in 7th. Mark Martin just behind him. It's Jeff Gordon, and this is a 3-way struggle as the Pyro car comes back to the inside and ducks back in behind again. Backstretch.
Mark certainly has to be careful. If he gets a little bit high trying to get Brett, Jeff Gordon's going to be underneath him.
That's right. You know, right now what's happening is we're seeing these grooves working again. Nobody knows where they need to run until they need to pass. You get up, you've been running the low groove the whole time. You come up with somebody, you got to go to the outside. Now Mark's going to the inside.
That low groove will cool off. It'll give you a bite after a while.
You're seeing cars pass everywhere here. It's hard to say what groove is fast. I don't think any groove is faster. It depends what kind of tires they have on.
It appears as though right now both grooves are very good. Both grooves are very fast because you pointed out we do have cars passing in both grooves.
And that's why there's 80,000 and 90,000 people in these grandstands.
Exactly.
Wow, Mark Martin got a handful and then some there. He had to square it up.
See, it appeared as though Mark had Brett, but then he stayed in that low groove enough laps that he heated those tires up. You pinch the car a little bit down there, the tire goes away, and you slip a little bit.
You need lights flashing or something. You guys always make it look too easy. You make a correction like that. You look at it on the TV and say, so he picked it up and went on. I mean, there ought to be power bang or something that really draws your attention, because that was a really marvelous move to keep under control. Now the 3 is around. You see that Earnhardt is the 3rd. Kyle Petty is back to 4th. Rick Mast is in 5th. There you see a struggling car number 4. Back in 20th spot, Sterling Marlin after a first and the second in the early going and well up in the points all the way to the very top of the list over Ernie Irvin, 20 points back. Points going to get really a jingle here today.
Marcus just made that pass on Brett Bodine, and now Jeff Gordon is working on the low side of Brett.
Caution's out. Got ourselves another yellow on the racetrack. One car limping onto pit road. It looks like Derek Cope, number 98, coming in. Wonder if he dropped something off.
A lot of smoke coming out of the right front, it looks like.
Perhaps
maybe a brake caliper.
7th caution of the day is out. 13 lead changes among 7 drivers. This is at lap 348. There's your leader, Ernie Irvin. So the Haviland Texaco car stays in front. And I would imagine that Larry McReynolds and Robert Roots had a little chat this morning and said, you know, this is the one that Davey won as his last one. It would be very appropriate if you came back and were able to do it again. Rusty Wallace, of course, he almost feels he owns this racetrack with the success he's had.
Let's watch the entrance here now to pit road. It appears as though the 28 car maybe tends to hold the 2 car up, what we felt like last time.
The 28 car on purpose is running below pit road speed to keep the 2 car from getting a good jump on him.
Randy Pembroke.
Irvin stopped the Texaco Haviland Ford Thunderbird. Here's the deal. Ernie said he was going to baby those tires the rest of the way. He had just a little over 50 laps left. Now, they have made Ernie aware, he was not aware before, that he can hammer the throttle those last 2 pits. So we're going to see what happens. They're already working on the left-hand side. Dick Bergen.
The question was, could Rusty Wallace beat him out again? And no, Ernie Irvin is going to beat Rusty Wallace out just, and this is one disappointed pit crew.
See, what that does is when Ernie comes in below pit road speed, then Rusty can't get dumped off before the 28 car.
We'll be back with more from Richmond, Virginia. We're down to decision time. Just 50 laps to go this time by.
Certainly going to be exciting.
When the job is tough, you need the best. And when you need the best, you reach for Channel Lock. For the power. The precision. For just plain counting on, there's only one. Channel Lock. Be sure you're getting genuine Channel Lock tools. Look for this trademark.
Leave it to Peerless Faucet to create a shower so smart, it can not only sense when a toilet has been flushed, it can also adjust the water temperature accordingly. Scald Guard technology by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
If you're looking for a reliable place for your car or truck, I've got news for you.
Now at Pep Boys, $10 rebate on all Futura, Michelin, and Uniroyal tires in stock.
Come to Pep Boys and drive away happy.
There is one company that never ceases in their search for quality. Meeting America's energy needs by producing advanced, environmentally responsible products. And by offering them at more locations than any other major brand, they can make your search for quality amazingly simple. Discover for yourself the difference quality can make. Fly with the new superpower, Citgo.
Jim Fansler's cold won't give him a minute's rest. But he's about to break free with an effervescent rush of relief. Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime. It speeds powerful medicines to free your breathing, relieve your runny nose, soothe your aches, and quiet your cough so you can rest, all without alcohol. Nothing rushes relief like Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime.
Under caution at Richmond, the Pontiac Excitement 400. Final 50 laps underway. Ernie Irvin, your leader, over Wallace and Earnhardt. Kyle Petty, Jeff Gordon, and Brett Bodine. Second 6 looks this way. Mark Martin and Rick Mast. Terry Labonte with a great run. Then Schrader, Jarrett. Ted Musgrave, today's pole sitter. Want to tell you one more time, I know a lot of you probably want to get the phone number and order one of the brand new official directories to Winston Cup Racing and NASCAR. From Bell South, it's 1-800-RACE-345. We were looking today at the page involving Richmond. You're traveling to a Winston Cup event. You want to know how to get to the racetrack, where to stay, entertainment venues and restaurants and so forth. This is the book to get at this phone number. We'll be right back to bring you the conclusion of today's Pontiac Excitement 400 at Richmond on TBS after this.
a viewer's guide to headline news. At the top and bottom of every hour, world news. At 15 and 45 after, business. And at 20 and 50 past, sports. For the latest information, check in throughout the day with Headline News.
There's something happening here. What it is exactly clear. Time to stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Get out of the old and get into the cold.
What, is this your idea of excitement? Let me tell you about exciting, okay? Driving around a racetrack at over 200 miles an hour, that's exciting. These are just flakes.
Well, what do you think?
These are really good. They're crispy, too.
Really?
Yeah, they're mighty good even with nothing on them. What are they?
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes?
How could I be so dumb?
You got 500 miles to think about it.
Kellogg's is proud to sponsor NASCAR champion Terry Labonte.
Every year, millions of gallons of motor oil are poured down drains, dumped on the ground, and tossed into landfills. It's a crying shame for the environment and for everybody in it. That's why Advance Auto Parts provides free oil recycling at every store 7 days a week. Bring your used motor oil to Advance and make the future a cleaner, safer, happier place for all of us.
Check this out. Larry Bird's favorite burger and Larry Bird MVP Cup from McDonald's. Now it's gotta let me play one-on-one.
Now at McDonald's, get an MVP Collector Cup featuring some of the biggest NBA superstars free when you supersize any extra value meal for 39 cents more. Like Larry's favorite, the double quarter pounder with cheese. Hurry to McDonald's today and collect all 6.
Charles, this is for you. Hey, thanks. Now can I play? No.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
Exciting aerial shot from Advance Auto Parts. Home of PDQ. Parts delivered quick. And we're just back. A lap through. Came up on 3:54. We're showing 3:56 this time by. With Ernie Irvan for the lead. Rusty Wallace second. Dale Earnhardt third. Kyle Petty fourth. Jeff Gordon fifth. Brett Bodine in sixth. Mark Martin seventh. Rick Mast. Followed by Terry Labonte. Ken Schrader. And Schrader's car is being shown a lap down. He's in 10th spot, 1 lap down. 9 cars remain in the lead lap as we get to decision time. Derek Cope has put the Fingerhut car back behind the wall. Any predictions from here on, gentlemen?
Man, I'll tell you, this is a great race. These two cars have been back and forth all day long. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll just have to watch and see.
It's going to be a great race, like you said, and you know, Dale Earnhardt right now, if he's got anything, he's definitely got to show it now. And of course, Kyle, we know, has been steady all day. He's sitting right there, so it's going to be a great run.
Schrader, lap car in 10th, is running between Earnhardt and Kyle Petty. He is running in 10th spot, and he is between the 3rd and 4th place cars on the track.
This is a great race. You know what's happened? We got enough laps left for chassis to come in. The tires cannot take them the rest of the way. So 20 laps down the road here, we're going to see who's got the best chassis at the end of the day.
360 complete this time by, excuse me, Dave.
Jeff Gordon looking very good up there in the high grooves, working his way up there and going to get into contention before this thing is over.
It looks to me, though, like those two leaders, Irvan and Wallace, are drawing away from the field right now. They are actually pulling away from Earnhardt by maybe a half a car to a car length a lap at this point.
Right. Right now, you know, we're showing Jeff Gordon on the screen there. His left rear's all beat in. That was from the tire falling off. He was out of contention. The crew worked hard. They got him back into contention right now. But you're right, the 28 and the 2 pulling away a little bit now, but the 28 looks awfully strong.
28 does look strong, and of course, Rusty is pushing him very hard. However, the pace that Rusty is pushing Ernie, you know, it's a possibility their tires may go away a little bit quicker than the other cars coming up behind them. So I still think it's going to have a couple more cars involved in this than those two before it's over.
Well, let's see how everybody feels about the end of this race. Who do we think is going to pull this one off? I think that it's going to be very hard to get around Ernie Irvan. I think that he's pretty determined. His car, although as I say that, I'm watching Rusty Wallace pick up about 5 feet on. I would say that with 363 laps down to this 400-lap race. Urban is going to duplicate what Davey Allison did for the Robert Yates team a year ago. How do you feel, Dave Martin?
Ernie Irvin's car sure looks strong, and of course we've seen it run good in long runs today. I mean, like when he was behind Rusty, he would sit there for 20, 30 laps, and then he did have the power and the momentum to get by Rusty, so certainly he looks good and strong.
And did you notice as those cars rotated through the corner, just then 28 car was able to stay lower over in the corner, coming off the corner. When you watch again, it seems like Rusty's having a problem of keeping it right down on the bottom, coming up off of turn 2. Right there, he's done a really good job, but let's watch this corner here. Maybe Rusty will try to correct that and arc the car in so we can get a better exit. Okay, see how the 28 car's coming up off the bottom there really strong?
Yeah, Rusty does not seem to be able to stay as low off of 2 as Kenny pointed out as Ernie Irvin does.
So you're saying that your pick is the 28 car to beat your brother?
No, there's too many laps left.
Right.
There's too many laps left. Cars can get loosened up.
Right, okay. Let's go to the pits and see how those guys feel about it.
Well, 34 laps to go. If there's not another pit stop, which could change everything, I think I've got to go with the 28 car. I think once he gets a nice clean air out there, he'll baby those tires, and I think he can nurse it for 34 laps. But Rusty's going to be there, too. There's no doubt about it, but I got to pick the 28.
But I want to point out that Rusty is taking care of those tires now. We don't really know that he can't stay low off of turn 2. Rusty may just be taking care of those tires and keeping them cool. When he gets underneath Ernie, it's going to be over with.
What about it, Dick Bergman?
Well, Rusty Wallace has consistently run well on long runs, and we've got enough time left to go to call this a long run. I like Rusty Wallace's chances here. This car has won 10 times. Johnny Hayes?
I tell you, I love Robert Yates and Ernie Irvin, but I'm going to have to go with Rusty Wallace. His experience here, his success here, I think he's holding stuff for him. I'm going with Rusty Wallace.
Okay. The man who's picked it the last 3 times, Hayes says it's going to be Wallace here at the finish. He's running 4 car lengths back as you look at the 6 and 26. That's a battle that's taking place for 6th position, and for the moment it's Mark Martin. And look at Jeff Gordon fighting with Kyle Petty. 4th spot at stake. Number 42 on the high side, and Jeff Gordon nestles that 24 right down on the bottom.
This is a great run. You know, for them to lose a tire on pit road, have to come back and make an extra pit stop. The one thing that happens, you run good early in the race, you stay on the lead lap, and then you can get on that outside lane, go clear up to the front.
Now, the one that lost that tire was the 24. If you're just joining us, Jeff Gordon made a sensational pit stop, a little too sensational. When he came out, the tire fell off. He had to go all the way around, fell to the bottom end of the lead lap, and he's fought himself back in it. Now, how about this one? Here's that 26 working again with Rick Mass. This is a struggle going on for 7th spot.
These guys know it's coming down to the end of the race right now. Now they're starting to race like we've seen them start, you know, jockeying out early in the race. They're going to race right now.
They definitely have to race now. They got to show everything they have. There's no sitting back now and, you know, going back up front. Looks like Ernie Irvin is pulling the win.
Pretty physical track for you, David?
Yes, it is. And you know, again, the sun is very bad going into turn 3, like Kenny pointed out. And this track is very physical.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of crashes in 3 at this time of day in this event. 372 laps are down. It's Ernie Irvin's race to win. Rusty Wallace trying to take it away, as is Earnhardt.
Atlanta's most powerful sporting event, the Busch Light 300, the Pure Later 500. Tickets for these power-packed events are moving at high speeds. Don't get left behind. Call today.
Over 1 million people each week walk into AutoZone, and taking care of them means having what they need when they need it. That means stocking a lot of parts for a lot of cars. Now, nobody can stock everything, but we stock more than most. And how do we know which ones to carry? That's easy. We listen to our customers. Because nobody knows better about what you want than you. So the next time you walk through that door, you might think of yourself as a customer. But we think of you as the boss.
As your engine revs higher, the oil inside creates a hydrodynamic wedge, a protective layer that builds up and keeps engine parts separated. But as your oil's viscosity breaks down, so can the wedge. That's why Castrol GTX provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. Because if your viscosity breaks down, what's next? Castrol GTX, engineered for today's smaller cars. Try Castrol Super Clean for tough, greasy jobs. If it won't come clean with Super Clean, it won't come clean.
Can I see what's running the universe here at the planetarium?
Our little remote controller, and it runs by one 9-volt Duracell battery.
And that will last how long?
Forever. They really do last a long time.
Well, forever is a big concept. I mean, that's like...
Well, I work in these cosmic verities.
Duracell. No other battery lasts longer. Peerless Faucet didn't come up with the idea for a spout long and high enough to reach over and into large objects. We merely adapted it for the kitchen. High-rise faucet designs by Peerless. Get more out of your faucet than just water.
Joe Nemechek just took the slide for life across the infield grass and has brought out the 8th caution of the day. That provides us with another opportunity to see all the leaders back on pit road. A total of 9 of them expected to come in, and here they are parading down at 45 miles an hour. It's Irvin, Wallace, Earnhardt, Gordon, Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, Rick Mast, Brett Bodine on pit road at this time. And now let's watch that pit activity, and here's Randy Penn.
Well, you talk about competitive sponsors helping each other out. The Haviland, Mexico Haviland Ford is now having the Pennzoil tires put on there. The Pennzoil rims on this car. Michael Waltrip, they were out of tires. The left sides are on, the car is down, Ernie leads.
There's the race to come out first, and that one is won by Irvin. Wallace is second, and Rick Mast comes out third.
What a great deal. I mean, the one car is still strong.
Talk about track position with me, Dave Marcus. Track position in every Winston Cup race, so critical. But here we are with 378 laps complete. We're down to it, about 22 laps to go. That's what really counts right there.
Exactly. I mean, it's the key. Now Ernie is sitting up front. I mean, he can get down in that corner in his line, and no one can force the issue on him. He can take care of those brakes. He can backpedal a little bit, you know, or slow the guy down behind him and make his own entrance. It's the key. There's no doubt about it.
Now, an interesting development here. Labonte stayed out. The 5 car has stayed out. So he's picking up some bonus points. He elected not to bring that car into the Hendrick stable.
You know, I mean, you can look at that a couple different ways. He's at the tail end. He's the last car. He was the last car on the lead lap, I believe. And so let's see if he pits this time. I really believe he's going to pit. Yeah, he does.
Noses it right down on the bottom, and here he comes.
He got those 5 bonus points, so that I think that's what he's doing.
All right, we'll be back for the exciting conclusion of this Pontiac Excitement 400 from Richmond, Virginia, following these messages.
Hey, Terry Lucas!
Not now!
Oh, that's got to be your new Grand Am V6 over there.
I love my Grand Am!
Sporty fun, it's you, Terry.
Not so fast! My Pontiac Grand Am's got standard anti-lock brakes,
really?
airbags, leather, all kinds of stuff for thousands less than a quarter Camry!
So fun, had nothing to do with it?
Don't jump to conclusions!
Looks like your car's dead, bud. I ain't the car, Earl. It's the battery. And you gotta give me a shot. About 25 miles an hour. I'll start her up. Remember, 25. 3, 4, 25.
Advance Auto Parts has batteries that give you extra cold cranking amps for extra starting power when you really need it.
24, 25.
What a day for a baby.
A new look, impossible to resist. The rush of a powerful V6 engine, superb control and handling, even the safety of driver and passenger airbags. This stuff of dreams? Not anymore. Like it? Loved it. The new Grand Prix Sport Coupe.
I got a Michael Jordan MVP cup and Michael's favorite burger from McDonald's. He's bound to let me play one-on-one.
Hurry into McDonald's today for Michael's favorite extra value meal, the Double Big Mac. And for 39 cents more, supersize it or any extra value meal for more fries and more drink. And get an MVP collector cup free.
Charles, you sitting here. So what do you say?
Just this once.
What you want is what you get.
To my dear friend Charles.
At McDonald's today.
Okay, we're taking care of business. We're with you right to the finish now. 384 laps have been completed. The Derek Cope car is back on the track. It's running very slowly, but it's there. But the story is right here. Look at this battle. Here's Kyle Petty and Rick Mast, and they continue their own struggle out here as they fight their way out for 5th spot. That's a good one. Up in front, just as exciting for the 75,000 plus here at Richmond, Virginia today. Kyle Petty down the backstretch, and Rick Mast stays with him. Ernie Irvan stays in front, but just barely, as you see how far back those two are in their fight, in their quest to get up in front. Ernie Irvan, Rusty Wallace, first and second. That's how far they are apart with 14 laps to go. Let's check in with our pit reporters as to those final pit stops in this race and what went on.
Well, it was obviously 4 tires for Ernie Irvan. I mean, this team is saying absolutely nothing. They were thrilled to death to get him out first, but it's all over for them. They just got to sit and watch it. But they're not smiling, they're not doing anything, but they're looking forward to a win, I hope.
Well, I guarantee you the crew at Rusty Wallace Garage is not smiling either. They cannot believe that they got beaten out of pit road on 2 separate occasions. The last round of pit stops, they loosened the car. The round before that, they tightened it up. It doesn't seem to matter. Ernie Irvan is pulling away.
3-car length advantage for Ernie Irvan. Second in the Daytona 500 after he led for some 70 laps. And here comes Gordon down on the inside. Jeff Gordon shoots the gap, and it's Gordon in the 3rd place. Earnhardt falls to 4th.
I tell you, this is a great race. All you can do is just sit here and watch it now. We're within 10, 11 laps to go. Looks like the 28 car has really got some good motor.
Back with the leaders. Ernie Irvan with that 4-car length advantage. Finished 5th at Rockingham. Second in the point standings. This could be a day that will turn everything topsy-turvy in Winston Cup racing if the 28 can just stay right there in first. Gordon is 3rd, Earnhardt 4th, Kyle Petty 5th, Rick Mast is 6th, Martin is back in 7th, Brett is in 8th, and Terry Labonte lies 9th. To the STP pit center, Rick Benjamin.
Well, Ken Squire, we've decided that the Advanced Auto Parts Pits Done Quick Award is going to go to the Larry McReynolds crew. They did a great job, of course, bringing the 28 car in slowly, holding Rusty Wallace back, and then beating the Wallace car out of the pits. And that's put Irvan out in front. And we have shown you that a couple of times today. We're going to take one more look at it here as we see the 28 beating the 2 car out of the pits on that last round of pit stops. And that gave Ernie Irvan the lead. That's where he is at this point. Larry McReynolds, the crew chief, picks up the Advanced Auto Parts PDQ Award, and Advance will make a donation to the Make-A-Wish Foundation on behalf of Larry and the Robert Yates Racing Team.
You know, you watch your monitor right there. It's the same thing we talked about earlier. It seems like Rusty's either pushing or loose in the middle of turns 1 and 2. He's really staying down good down here in this corner in 3 and 4. He's right on the bottom. It seems like where Ernie's getting him is coming up off of turn 2.
Yeah, he just can't seem to get the car, like you said. They put a round of wedge in before. This time they took one out. Just can't get it quite right up off of turn 2.
Final laps. So Dave Marcus, Kenny Wallace along. I'm Ken Squire topside. Appreciative of their great help here today at the Pontiac Excitement 400 in Richmond, Virginia. Down to the final moments of this, and is there anything Wallace can consider, anything he can do, Dave Marcus, except let this one run out?
Well, Ken, not really. I mean, it's like he knows what he has to do, and we're all aware that he's trying to do that very, very hard. But what can you do other than just sit there and watch what's happening and do your best to try and catch him, try and hope that he slips?
Watch what happens here. Look at this move by Mark Martin going for 6th spot on the outside around Rick Mast. Got him, David. Great move on the outside by Mark Martin.
It's the same thing we've seen all day long. It looks like Mark trying to find a place to go. We've got 4 or 5 laps to go, and Mark says, "Hey, I'm going to the outside." You know, you got to bottle up. What I mean by that, you got to do what you got to do because it's finish time, and this is what everybody in the crew works so hard for all week long. so Mark makes a move at the top of the track.
You see Bill Elliott back there in that 12th position in the car number 11. Back with those leaders another time. Around Greg Sachs with 3 to go. Ernie Irvan stays out in front, going for his 10th Winston Cup victory. Down to the final moments.
It appears as though Ernie has gotten stronger as the races went on. Rusty has about stayed the same like he was about midway in the event.
Never won this race.
I tell you see Ernie Irvan really running good there, but Jeff Gordon has really closed the gap in on Rusty Wallace. He seems to be the quickest car at the end of this race.
It sure is. He is closing it down, but it doesn't look like he's going to have enough time. White flag is out. 1 lap to go.
A great run by Jeff Gordon. You know, it looks like maybe if this event would happen to be longer, Jeff has gotten his car working better as the day has gone on also.
Down to the final lap. Ernie Irvan staying up in front in the final moments of this race with some brilliant pit stops is coming down to win the Pontiac Excitement 400. In second spot is Rusty Wallace. Jeff Gordon will be across the third. Earnhardt for fourth. Kyle is in fifth. Mark Martin gets that 6th, and Rick Mast with a great day finishes in 7th. But Ernie Irvan earns his 10th Winston Cup victory at Richmond, Virginia in race number 3 of the 1994 season. He qualified in 7th, and that is his 12th career win for Irvan. That's number 12 for Irvan on Winston Cup tracks.
Well, Larry McReynolds, how much pride do you guys take in beating Rusty Wallace guys out of the pits 2 times in a row?
Well, I tell you, these guys not taking nothing away from the 2 bunch, but these guys do it every week right here. I'm telling you, you know, we don't have no flamboyant guys with nicknames or nothing. They just go out every week and do the job, and they come through today when we needed to. We won a lot of races here in the pits.
Okay, how much of this was car, how much of it was driver?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. The car, the driver, the engine, the guys back at the shop working today on the Atlanta car. You know, it's just a combination. It's hopefully we'll keep going from here. I want to say hello to Linda, Brooke, Brandon, Kim, Jordan. Everybody back at home will be home tonight.
And a winning crew chief will always tell you it's a team effort.
So Ernie Irvan has 3 wins and 12 starts in that Robert Yates Ford. And the point standing situation changes. Irvan now leads by 53 points over in second place Dale Earnhardt. These are unofficial, but that's what we have at the moment as we get ready to hear from the man who's pulled it off. And I'm sure it's in memory of Davey Allison, who won his final race in this car on this track just a year ago.
Push you forward a little bit.
Let's get a report on Jeff Gordon.
That's good, right there.
Well, Ken Squire, we decided that the slickest move of the race we saw today, and the winner of the Liquid Wrench slickest move, Jeff Gordon for his move, getting around Dale Earnhardt late in the going, coming back from dropping a tire off the car during a pit stop. We saw the body damage, the sheet metal, and the left rear quarter panel. So Jeff Gordon, the winner of the Liquid Wrench slickest move of the race this afternoon here at Richmond. Let's check in with Randy Pemberton.
Ernie Irvan taking a drink of Gatorade, getting ready to pop out of the car. Ernie, you started your career here, and I think this one went a lot better than the first race you had here.
It sure did. You know, when I got ready to leave the house the other day, told Kim, I said, you're not coming, and you and Jordan aren't going to be in victory lane when we win. And she said, well, you don't run good at Richmond. I said, yeah, but I think we're going to win this time. And I tell you, it was a neat deal. This car here is the one we won Martinsville with, and it's the one we ran second at Phoenix, ran third at Wilkesboro. We didn't get to use Davy's setup here. I just couldn't get the car handling like that, so we threw a bunch of other stuff at it. Larry McReynolds sure had her dialed in today.
With about 3 pit stops to go, you said it was the best it had ever been. What did you change on it?
Well, it's just that the racetrack started coming to us. You know, our car was decent at the start. Mark seemed to be a little better. Then our car just really came to us. You know, the Texaco Havoline Ford Thunderbird. I tell you what really won us to race, them guys in the pits. Rusty's supposed to have the best pit crew, but I'd lay ours up against him anytime.
Great run, Ernie.
So Ernie Irvan clambers out of the Havoline Ford, successful again here on the 3/4 mile at Richmond, Virginia in the Pontiac Excitement 400. His best finish previous to this in this event was back in 1989 when he'd come home in 9th spot. But today it's all his, a battle well fought, and he certainly gave the credit where it was due to the pit crew who brought it off for him with some brilliant work late in the going to give him this victory and put him up on top in the point standing battle as the field moves on to Atlanta, Georgia, and then to Darlington, South Carolina, to Bristol, Tennessee, and North Wilkesboro. Coming up May 1st, they'll be at Talladega. So there's a lot of great racing coming up in this springtime period. We hope that you'll be able to see at least one of them. We'll get some final stats, and we'll try to get a word with Rusty Wallace about his performance today after we take this short break.
The Pontiac Excitement 400 on TBS is brought to you by Pontiac, by Castrol GTX, by Napa Auto Parts, by Miller Genuine Draft, and by Kellogg's.
Every day we all find a way. A promise made, a promise kept, giving it our best.
Napa, we're the most complete source for auto parts, and all Napa parts are backed by a nationwide warranty program. No wonder more Americans trust Napa to keep their vehicles running.
We keep America running. We keep America running.
The Miller Genuine Draft Rusty Wallace stock car. See it. Hear it. Feel it. Catch it, if you can.
The car on the right was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the other with conventional oil. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it needs a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oil. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
What, is this your idea of excitement? Let me tell you about exciting, okay? Driving around a racetrack at over 200 miles an hour, that's exciting. These are just flakes.
Well, what do you think?
These are really good. They're crispy, too.
Really?
Yeah, they're mighty good even with nothing on them. What are they?
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah. Kellogg's Corn Flakes? How could I be so dumb?
You got 500 miles to think about it.
Kellogg's is proud to sponsor NASCAR champion Terry Labonte.
And we're back in Richmond. The afternoon's Pontiac Excitement 400 into the books. A very exciting battle. Ernie Irvan defeating Rusty Wallace by a narrow margin. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Kyle Petty rounding out the top five. A lot of folks thought that Rusty Wallace would certainly be the winner today, but it was Ernie Irvan by a close margin today. Certainly a great day here in Richmond. Rusty Wallace, who's run so well here so many times, is standing by with our Dick Berger.
You can't be too disappointed with that big smile.
No, I've got a second place, and I'm happy with that. The car really ran great today. We had a good handling car, but I just got too tight right there at the very end. About the last 100 laps, the car was pushing in front and out on it. We worked real hard, and right there with 20 laps to go, we aired the tires up to try to beat Ernie. And it was a little too early to air the tires up, and they got skating all over and almost got beat by Gordon. So I'd just like to thank all the fans, thank Ford, Miller Genuine Draft, Mobile, Mazak, Goodyear. Goodyear's had a good tire today, so had a good run. Second, we climbed up in the points.
And Midnight.
In Midnight, yeah. We'll bring Midnight Rider back next time, see if it's any better.
That's the car has won 10 times, another second here. Ken?
Okay, let's take a look at those points right now as they stand after 3 races on the Winston Cup circuit. Ernie Irvan jumps up in front. Earnhardt goes to second. Sterling Marlin falls to third, and there you see the rest of the top 5 as they prepare to move on. It's Atlanta, March the 13th, for the next 500-mile competition in the most competitive stock car racing, auto racing for that matter, in the world. Quite a day, gentlemen, and when you think about what we've accomplished here today with what we've seen, it appears to me those Wallace guys, Dave Marcus, are strong for second place. This one over here got himself a second yesterday, and his brother gets it today.
They certainly are, and you know, it's off to another great Winston Cup racing season. We've had 3 events, 3 pole winners, 3 race winners.
Great sportsmanship. Rusty's smiling. It's just great NASCAR Winston Cup racing. The fans are still standing around. Nobody wants to leave.
Now, you got to take a minute and take a deep breath and just enjoy watching those big transporters begin to load up, head off for Atlanta for the next event. The circus is on the move another time in Winston Cup racing. We'll be back with you for the 600 Memorial Weekend. We'll be along about 4:30 in the afternoon from the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the great Coca-Cola 600. Hey, I've really enjoyed having you by, Dave Marcus. Sure hope you make the field at Atlanta. Thank you for contributing so much to today's broadcast. It was nice of you to share some time with us.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck to number 71. Wallace, you going to go back and run Winston Cup next year?
I'm going to be back full-time Winston Cup in my TIC, Financial Systems Ford.
You don't need to do the plug.
But I
Just
have
tell
to
us you're
do
going
it.
to be back next year.
I'm going back full-time Winston Cup next year. We're going to run 5 Winston Cup races this year, and I'm looking forward to trying to win that Busch Championship.
A thought from you about what we saw accomplished out here today on pit road, because everybody talks about your brother's Buddy Parrott team as the best on pit road, and you saw that 28 crew, they came out gunning for him.
Well, I think it was great. Rusty's my brother, but you got to give that 28 and Larry McReynolds team a lot of credit. It was a great race, great pit stops by the 28 car team, and usually Rusty wins by beating them out. Today was a change.
A sentimental moment for a lot of people here, seeing 28 back in Victory Lane and remembering just 1 year ago on this racetrack, the celebration that went on when Davey Allison brought those Haviland Texaco colors back to this very same spot. Well, you know the story. It's Ernie Irvan to celebrate tonight. #1 in the nation, #1 at Richmond, Virginia, and Winston Cup racing, #1 with race fans all over the United States. Been a real joy to be with Kenny Wallace and a fellow named Dave Marcus, longtime campaigner, 2-time winner here, set on the pole back in '71. For all of us, Johnny Hayes, Dick Bergen, Randy Pemberton, Rick Benjamin, it's been a joy bringing you this wonderful race from this great track. I'm Ken Squire. Look forward to having you with us on Memorial Weekend for the Coca-Cola 600.